beautiful Friday evening in East Africa. Of course, we are having a very major debate that we are going to discuss here in Africa 24, 7th of March, year 2025. This is a new year whereby we are getting a lot of things. But you know that in March, that is when we experienced a lot of handshake. Now, this country today, we experience something that we have been used to, and now we are having this handshake that is between Raila Odinga and William Ruto, and that is what most of Kenyans expected after Raila was given that support by Ruto in the AU seat, whereby he lost it to the Djibouti candidate. So we are going to discuss all those, and of course, I have the best panelists here who are going to give their analysis when it comes to this handshake, and they're going to tell us more about what they think will happen after Raila and Ruto come together. Personally, I will also give my views and what I think, but I am still shocked because I could not imagine to see the Secretary General over there reading that MOU. Also, I could not imagine to see Ledamo Lekina over there. And also some of the close members of Raila really happened. And of course, Prime Cabinet Secretary was not present. Still, we are going to discuss the future of the Prime Cabinet Secretary because he abandoned his political party to join the government, and now he was not present during this handshake. We are going to discuss all those, but the main question is, why do you think this handshake happened? Now, I have Jaburu here. Jebu, good evening from Nairobi, Kenya. Maybe you tell us what do you think happened today? Of course, in your own point of view, what do you see Kenya in the
Thank you so
next
much,
5 years,
Boniface.
maybe? And what is the take of what you saw today?
Thank you, Boniface. And I don't know why you have chosen me to go first. But let me say this. It's all about choice. And as we say, choices have consequences. What I would think is that, to me, that move wasn't very good for Raila Odinga, who is almost ending his political career. I would say that he is going to end his political career in a very bad note, basing on the fact that he has joined the government that has become so unpopular among the electorates. There are major reasons why this government is so unpopular. I have seen people, including pastors, saying that Kenyans are hating William Ruto, criticizing the government, and so many things. But the reason why Kenyans are doing that, it is because of the actions of the government of William Ruto. And the same mistake which Raila Odinga made in 2017 of joining Uhuru Kenyatta is the same mistake which he has repeated. So he is going to carry the baggage of all the mistakes that the government of William Ruto has committed against Kenyans, including the abductions, the killings, and failure to fulfill the promises that he promised to Kenyans. So for me, I would say joining the government, it is going to work against the legacy of Raila Odinga, who is supposed right now to be very busy recruiting someone to inherit his ideologies, to inherit his ideas and visions, if at all he had any. So by joining the government, it is just doing the disservice to Kenya. And it's the same reason why he did not come out to support Gen Zs when they were being brutalized by this government. Bonnie, let me stop there.
Jeff, of course, I don't know why you have tried to be so mean with words, but anyway, let me introduce Jeremiah, because Jeremiah said that they are in the government now. Jeremiah, are you satisfied with what happened today?
Extremely satisfied.
Boniface, I don't know whether it is my network or it's your network which is very poor.
I think it's Bonnie's network.
There is no way of determining.
Yeah, as Jeremiah, you go, Bonica, you can be checking on that.
Yeah. Why, Jeremiah? What do you think will happen now after the handshake?
Jeff, good evening. Alex, good evening. And Bonnie.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you, gentlemen. Apologies, the whole of last week I was away. I was traveling. Nilikuwa Dar es Salaam. For some reason, my Safaricom refused to work, so I was getting intermittent internet connection, so singeweza kujoin show, but I'm back. Na nimekaribishwa na shangwe.
Karibu.
Nimekaribishwa na shangwe na my party leader and his younger brother in what they did today. I'm extremely happy and I support what they did 100% for many reasons. But Mburu, I agree with what you say about the unpopularity of the Ruto administration. I cannot try to defend it or purport to say it's a good administration. Now, in politics, as in leadership, things are not static. Things are dynamic. Things change. And the purpose of this handshake is so that Raila can cleanse this Ruto administration, because the administration has done two bad things in the last 2 years. Does not mean they can change and do good things in the next 3 years. You should remember that Baba is the cleanser of dirty hands. Yeah. When Waiguru was almost being thrown under the bus with corruption, she went to Capitol Hill, she was cleansed. When people like other leaders were almost being killed, lynched by Kenyans, Baba cleansed them and they became clean. Now, the purpose of Baba joining hands with Ruto is so that he can cleanse Ruto. And cleansing him here means all of those wrongs that the Ruto administration has done because of the poor leadership, Raila has joined them so that they can correct that. So do not expect that Kenyans will hate Ruto up to the end of 2020, to the election 2027. One thing I can tell you, that the first thing this grouping is going to do, you're going to put a commission of inquiry into those extrajudicial killings and come up with a report that will tell us what happened. That commission will also look into the kidnappings and the breach of human rights of young Kenyans. As that is being done, the NADCO report will also be implemented. These things are going to be spearheaded by one Raila Odinga. Some of the economic crimes that have been done, the skewed allocation of resources the image of a government of shareholding, Raila will cleanse those and make this an inclusive government. Remember that of all leaders, when everyone gets a chance to put in their people in place, Raila usually puts his people across board. He denies his fellow tribesmen chances, puts a Kikuyu, a Meru, or a Costarian or some other region. So we can expect that he's going to create a government of national unity. You can take this to the bank, Mburu, that the job that Raila is going to do is to cleanse this government, turn around the bad image that you have mentioned, and make this broad-based government a darling of the people. So do not think that it's going to stay static, that Kenyans will hate Ruto forever. You can take that to the bank. So just because he has not joined a particular group, which he and me and millions of others like me who are Raila's support base, a group that we would not prefer him to join, because he hasn't joined that grouping does not mean he has done a mistake. I will rest my case that Raila's job in joining this government is to cleanse it, turn around the image, and make it a darling of the people of Kenya. And we know Raila can do that. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yes, thank you so much, Jeremiah. Of course, that is a wonderful submission. We also have Steve Charo. Welcome to Afrique 24. And you tell us your view about today's handshake, whereby we saw Raila Odinga joining the Kenya Kwanza government through this handshake, and also he signed in front of Kenyans that MOU.
Yes. How are you? Good morning, good afternoon, everywhere you are watching me. Thanks God. Just came in. I think we were here with Bernard so many years here together, and we chatted. Some faces are new, but some are not new from you guys around here. So the thing is, I don't expect anything from them because they are the same monks in the same forest. They are coming there for their own stomach. We give respect to them all. The ones who are trying to help Kenya, they will try. The ones who are trying to help their stomach to be wide, they are there. But the thing is, and whereby I don't understand till now, we as Kenyans, we are there to shout, and we are very easy to shout. This is coming this way. The other one is beating this other. The other one is eating this, or we are being eaten by the politicians. But sometimes I wonder, the same politician, when they call a meeting, even if it's on Monday, you will see many people are going to gather there, cheering them, dancing for them. I don't know. If like I'm from Mombasa, and we have a saying from Mombasa. When you hate the fisherman, don't even eat his fish or her fish. But we Kenyans, we are really easy to forget, and we can be manipulated any time, anyhow, because of the politics of I'm from here, I'm from this region, or this person will do this, the other one will be doing this. They can promise all these things, but they have been doing this game for the almost our age time, because they have been doing this, they have been saying the same, they have been divided, they have been quarreling. We know this, but we don't learn. So I hope this time, Kenyans, we will learn I hope. Because when we have no stand, these people, they will guarantee you they will take care of whatever they want. They will just do anything they really want to do with us because they know that they can multiply at the same time. One moment, I'm live here. I'm just going out. All right. Sorry. I had my family was here inside, and I told them that I'm getting out of there. So I will be short because I'm going to work right now. But I'm really wondering for so many Kenyans, learned people, wherever they are graduates, they have everything, but they can be fooled in 2 minutes by the politicians. Because whatever Raila is doing, whatever Ruto is doing, whatever Gachagua will do, I don't want to go inside deep, but they did the same. After every time they are doing the same, they will come together. Sometimes they will misunderstand themselves. They come to the audience. They speak bad of the other. He is doing this. But if they are there eating, they will never speak. Even right now, whatever I hear from Gachagua, if he was still there, I think we couldn't hear it, what he's talking about. But now he has gone out there. He will talk a lot to convince Kenyans. So who is a fool and who is fooling who? So I wish at this point that Kenyans will wake up and the Metula Blangata will work for themselves to see these people. Because you cannot change a monkey to a gorilla. It has only no tail, and it's a big one, but the tactics are the same. So I really wonder. And I don't know how I can put it, but right now, there is everything. And remember, the internet doesn't forget you. You will forget because you're quick in forgetting, but the internet does forget. If we want to see everything, what they did before, so that we can remember, we can see them. Wherever or whatever, whoever did this, we can still see them. But we are talking daylights, our eyes open, our brain sleeping. The same thing is when they wake up in the morning tomorrow and they call a meeting. I think even some of us here, we're going to join them and sing and dance. Why? I know there's no job. We have nothing, but we have been nothing since that time. They'll come, they give you sweets, and then they will take whatever they want to take. We are not monks anymore. But this mindset, for a very few people, most of the 80% of we Kenyans, we are still being fooled with chocolates. Sorry to say that, because I'm a Kenyan too. Maybe I've been fooled with the chocolate, and they will still fool me. But if we have a group of set-minded, we have to throw these people, both of them, not Raila, those people who are there. And you will wonder, even in their own areas, they have never built anything. I saw it last time. There was a burial of one big person in my town. The body was brought by helicopter. But those people who went with small cars to the burial, I think when they tell you, you will wonder, there's somebody who was in the government for over 20 years, and still his home area, there is no even a path whereby you can just drive a car slowly. They have been eating, and they will still be eating if we are continuing to listen to these people, to dance. Oh, Raila was doing this, okay. Raila was doing this, they will do this, that is okay. So thank you very much. I will stop there. I give a chance to other person because I'm going out for a walk, and I hope to see you again next time. But we have been to this platform for over 3 years now. And I was there. I didn't have beards. Now even I grow gray hairs, and we're still being pressed. But we are still being pressed by these people. All right. I wish you the same. I wish you a good night, and we enjoy talking. I would like to hear about somebody else. Thank you very much for hosting me. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Steve Charo. We appreciate for your time that you have just come to talk to Kenyans over here. We are also joined by Jared. You welcome to Africa 24. But before I give Jared the opportunity to speak, I want to say we have also Benjamin, my good friend Benjamin. Karibu sana Benjamin to Africa 24 and give us your view about Raila Odinga and the Ruto handshake today. What is your view about it? And what does it signify to the Kenyan politics?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening, Benja.
Hope mko salama wote.
Tuko poa
Happy
kabisa.
New Year juu last time I was the year ilikuwa last year. So nimekawia sana bila kujoin live. First nilikuwa nataka kushare idea kidogo. And Boni, you remember very well almost vitu zenye nilisema about Raila before AU. Nilisema hapa Raila anaenda kujoin government, watu wakasema maybe nadanganya. Hizi vitu tunapatanga tu mwanya, alafu tunapata hizi information. So tena kuna mwanya yenye nataka kushare hapo. Raila anaenda kusimama 2027. Na hii hata hakuna mtu mwenye ajui. Raila anaenda kusimama 2027 as president. Hiyo naye atapeleka kwa bank. Sababu gani nasema hivyo? Raila wamediscuss na Ruto, wakasema Raila akisimama kura obvious hata kosa kitu kama 4 point something or 3 point something millions. Wamejua hii side ingine inakuja na certain waves. So wasipointerfere na hiyo waves, Ruto anaweza kupoteza kiti. They are focusing on 50+1. Kama Ruto atafikisha 50+1, wataenda kotini. That's why you see they are fighting to make sure that they remove Chief Justice. Akishaenda kotini, waseme wamefanya handshake, Raila kuja tena wafanya handshake, kuja Soviets sasa tena wanataka kuleta referendum wabadilishe katiba, constitution. Wakishabadilisha constitution, hiyo constitution inaenda kubadilisha iweko vitu nyingi. Kitu cha kwanza chenye wataenda kuweka kwa hiyo constitution, wakifanya referendum, wanataka consider limit ya president, election limit hiyo waongeze kuwa 7 yenye Nana alikuwa na suggest. The other thing wanataka kuintroduce hiyo kiti ya prime minister. Haya, sasa hiyo ndio sasa Raila sasa atakuwa kwa government full. There is something yenye my friend Steve mentioned hapa. I think we are blaming this politician na sisi wenyewe ndio tuko na shida, Boni. Before ni laumu wapiga kura, kuna mchezo yenye politician wanacheza nayo. Sasa iko media, kila mtu anajua Raila alikuwa leo na watu wengi sana. But kitu chenye hao watu wanafanya, washajua mentality ya Wakenya. They normally invest on medias, bloggers and camera. So wakisha invest kwa a lot of bloggers wakuwa wengi, wanakuja wana invest kwa concave cameras. Concave cameras nini? Concave camera, kama watu wako mahali karibu 1000, ukiwa na concave camera itaonyesha ni watu wengi sana, and wana make sure hizo media zote ziko hapa. Raila anataka ku make sure Steve mention hapa kitu, Raila anataka kusanitize hii government. Ni ukweli, wanataka ku make sure akisha sanitize, idea yao tu wanataka Ruto aingie 2027. Kuna 3 million zenye zinatoka from foreigners, kura zenye zinakuja. So hata sisi wa Kenya tukipiga hapa kura tukisema Ruto must go, jamaa ashajipanga tukujipanga kwa ukweli. Wanaenda kuinvest kwa bloggers wengi. Itakuwa tu mtu akiposti kitu chochote mbaya, wanasema wewe mjinga nini, comment zinakuwa a lot of comments mbaya zenye zina discourage mtu ku make sure Ruto ana win. Asante.
Perfect, Benjamin Omenda. Of course, my good friend has also revealed some of the secrets that are going to happen over there. Jared, karibu sana. Jared, we give you some minutes so that you can also give your view about what happened today. Raila Ruto handshake.
Oh, how are you?
I'm good, Jared. Long time no see. Welcome.
How are you, everybody in the studio this evening?
Yeah, we are good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Let me start by saying that at a personal level, I'm not worried by, what I saw at KICC today, because, what I saw are two sinking boats, and these boats will eventually sink. But I want to say a thing or two. What we saw at KICC, there's some echo. There is some echo.
Yeah, there is a radio somewhere.
I'll deal with that.
Okay,
I'll deal with that. Continue.
Okay, what I saw at KICC today demonstrates two things: political conmanship and political entrepreneurship. Those are the two things that I saw. And again, we must run away from what we call personalization of governance. When I say personalization of governance, is where you want the governance of a country to be determined by a particular individual. What Raila supporters always say, akisema left ni left, akisema ni right ni right. We must run away from that nonsense. Because, we gave unto ourselves, a new constitution in 2010. And, we must stick to the constitution and move away from personalization of governance. Because, at times, when you listen to Raila Odinga supporters, you wonder that, if Raila Odinga was not on earth today, would the earth stop? That's a question that I want to ask. So we need to move away from individualization or personalization of governance into what I call institutionalization of government. Because, governance is about institutions. Governance is never about personality. And, that's why if you look at the 2010 constitution, it's largely about institutions and not personality. Unfortunately, we have a lot of Kenyans who still believe in the personality cult, around a particular individual. As if, we are in South Sudan, where it is either Riek Machar or Salva Kiir. In Kenya, we are not like in South Sudan. In Kenya, we have a very vibrant constitution, a constitution that is supposed to create and develop strong institutions. So we must move away from this issue of individualization or personalization of governance. And again, when I look at that document that was signed today at KICC, I just laugh. And I have reasons why I'm laughing. I am a stickler believer in the constitution and the rule of law. And the Kenyan 2010 Constitution and the Political Parties Act are very clear on how political parties can relate. Political parties can only relate through what we call coalition agreements. Because coalition agreements are instruments that can be enforced by law. And that's why if you send a coalition agreement, you deposit it to the register. So you deposit a coalition agreement to the register of political parties. And if there are any issues, you can move to the political parties dispute tribunal or even end up at the High Court. So today, Raila Odinga signed an MOU, a document that is alien to the Kenyan 2010 Constitution, because the Kenyan 2010 Constitution does not recognize MOUs within political parties. That is the Constitution 2010. That is the law. So, we saw some papers, being shown to us at KICC in form of an MOU. To start with, where do you deposit this MOU? Who become where do you deposit this MOU? That's the question number one. In case of this agreement now between UDA and ODM, how do you enforce, or where do you go for redress? How do you enforce this MOU? Or in case of this agreement between these political parties, where do you go for dispute resolution? So what you saw being signed at Uhuru Park is pure trash. It's pure trash. Your takataka too that belongs to the dustbin, because it does not have what we call the force of law. It does not have the force of law at all. And anything that does not have the force of law cannot be implemented. Because tell me, how do you enforce it? And if you cannot enforce it, how do you implement it? I've heard them say that, NADCO, for example, they are saying that the NADCO report must be implemented in fully. That's part of the MOU that was signed today. How do we implement that? And in case William Ruto fails to implement it, where do you go for recourse? I look at this old man called Raila Odinga, and I wonder, where does he come from? In as far as his school of thought is concerned, because it makes me doubt, the brilliancy that many people portray him to be. He does not appear to be as brilliant as many people would like him to look, because if you can sign such a piece of paper that does not have the force of law, and then you are taken round, then you are taken round, and today I heard William Ruto saying that I'm going to ensure that you are treated well. The treating of Raila well is not about benevolence of William Ruto. We have the Presidential Retirement Benefits Act, that covers, among others, the president, the retired president, retired deputy president, the prime minister, I think, and the speakers of the National Assembly. They are very, very clear on how a retired former prime minister like Raila Odinga should be treated. It's very, very clear, in law, under the Presidential Retirement Benefits Act. Is very, very clear. So it's not about William Ruto telling Raila Odinga that I'll make sure that you are respected, I'll make sure that you are treated well. It's not about benevolence. It's not about benevolence from an individual. It's a right that Raila Odinga has earned by virtue of the fact that he was prime minister in the Republic of Kenya. So I don't know the desperation. What is the desperation in this old man? Anyway, I'll be waiting to see whether all that has been agreed with what has been all that. I'll be waiting to see if all that has been agreed with in that MOU will be implemented. And I can tell you that, up to 90% of whatever was signed to today in that MOU will not be implemented. And, at the end of the day, Raila Odinga will not have any recourse of law, because whatever that he signed today does not have, the force of law. So if it does not have the force of law, you will not have the recourse of law. And without the recourse of law, that becomes just a piece of paper. And if it's a piece of paper, it belongs to the dustbin. I hope that this evening, whoever was supposed to have deposited those documents, I hope that you'll decide to throw them in the dustbin, because that's where they belong to. Let me just stop there and allow somebody else to come in. Thank you.
Perfect. Of course, I already like how you always give your submission. We have been having you severally here. We have Alex, a quick one. Alex, what is your take about today's handshake before we give Jeremiah, because I know Jeremiah has some of the sentiments that he got from Buru and also Jared and also Benjamin, because I'm very sure you want to defend what they said, or you want to agree with what they said. Alex?
So good evening once again to all the panelists here on the channel, and I would like to appreciate all of us for making time each and every day to come to this show and try to speak things of interest to the political scene in the Kenyan in the Kenyan country. So Raila, there is something which there is this guy called Mohammed. I've forgotten the other name, but when he was on a show in Citizen and he spoke about ODM, and he said ODM is in government. ODM is not in government de jure, but de facto they are in government, meaning in the eyes of the multitude, like they are not in government, but in real sense, ODM is in government. ODM has been in government ever since the Gen Z demonstration. So what we are seeing right now is just it's coming out to the public, but it has been there ever since Raila said he gave out his experts to work with President Ruto. That was the moment he went into power, and by him going into power, it had some agreements. It was supposed that he was to vie for the AUC, and if he wins it, I think there were other increments that they were supposed to carry on. And if he lost the AUC, there were also some things which they are supposed to do. And I believe they both had a plan. So after Baba lost the AUC chairmanship, so he was to come back, and right now he's back, and now they have signed the agreement. But initially, ODM has been in power, though I feel like right now the seats are split 50-50. I believe Raila Odinga runs 50% of this government, and William Ruto runs 50% of this government. And it changes the political scene. If anyone who is in Kenya today saw how many people went to KICC to receive Raila Odinga, you would see that as much as we can say Raila Odinga has lost numbers, he still has a very big influence, because those people who went out there went for only one purpose, which is to see Raila Odinga and celebrate him signing that agreement with President Ruto, which shows that we are really in a bad state, and we have a long way to go as a country. Because ni kama sasa hizi venye Jeremiah anasema ni kama Raila ameosha Ruto kwa mwosho mmoja tu, and now he has become clean again, and people have forgotten that just less than a year ago, in I think June or July, this is the person who was responsible for the deaths of like almost 100 youths of this country, and those deaths are not accounted for. Saizi, the agreement that Baba has made with Ruto, I think it's more of a perception thing rather than a development thing, because we can take it to the bank that from now till 2027 hii Kenya bado haitakuwa na maendeleo yoyote. And I believe if Raila Odinga just listened to his Secretary General Sifuna, then he could salvage something in his political career. But I believe whatever the many things that people like Mavir Kaoko had said about Raila, and the things that Miguna said about Raila of the betrayal, I think right now it's clearly seen, and right now no filtering anything. All of those things which they said about him, they are very true. So it's just that the public didn't know, but I believe that right now the public has seen who he is, his true colors. So what I do hope is in 2027, Kenyans can look at leaders objectively as they go to vote. It's yesterday tumeona the former CJ Maraga spoke about him being in power. If just there's one thing he will do, is that he will ensure that Kenyans obey the rule of law. And imagine by doing that, he will do away with corruption. By him doing away with corruption, what would that mean? That would mean that we'll be able to collect the amount of money and ensure it is used for development. That's what we need to do. Because kama it's juzi tu tumesikia hapo X, I don't know whether it's true or not, but 104 billion was lost and it's not being accounted for. So hiyo ikishapotea hivyo boni, how are the development going to happen in the country if 100 billion is being lost? And that's taxpayers' money. That's your money, my money, all of our money, which is not going to anyhow into productivity. You go to a church, you contribute 100 million. That's a lot of money, and it's taxpayers' money. It's not money from their accounts. So, what would the 100 million do in the constituency of the village constituency of you, Mburu, or Joram, or Jeremiah, or even Boni? I believe 100 million can transform the constituencies in our village, but that money is not being put into practice, just going to shenanigans. And I'm not against the church, but I believe churches are not institutions where we're supposed to be funding things like 100 million. So, wacha niachie hapo. I give also others another chance. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex, for that. Now, let me hear from Jeremiah before we come to Buru.
Boni, asante sana. I want to make a couple of points, right? The first point I want to make is just sort of a clarification for my brother Jared. Jared, you know, two things. In this country, there is a very well defined definition of a marriage in the Constitution. Okay? There are things that has to be done for you, a man and a woman, to be said that you're married. However, if a man and a woman decide to stay together, what we all call come we stay. You agree at a personal level that mtakaa pamoja kama bibi na bwana, and you can live your whole marriage life without necessarily having to go and get married and get a marriage certificate and things like that if you don't want to. By any circumstances, that union is not illegal. It's still a marriage. Okay? The same way, there is, before I say the next point, Jared.
Can I just say something just before you say your second point? Let me just say something just before you say the second point. You know, the Marriage Act was, we amended the Marriage Act in 2014, and we came up with the Marriage Act 2014. And the Marriage Act 2014 is very, very clear that every marriage, whether it's customary, whether it's civil, whether it's religious, must be registered. It must be registered. So if you stick in a come we stay relationship, yes, it will be a marriage in the eyes of you and your partner. But in the eventuality that perhaps the partner dies and you want to go for the inheritance, you want to inherit, you know, the properties of your partner under what we call the Succession Act, you'll not qualify to be called a wife because that marriage is not a recognized marriage under the Marriage Act 2014. You know, that's a simple clarification that I wanted to make. And that's where Raila Odinga is. Raila Odinga has gotten into... Okay,
Jared,
okay, let me just finish. Okay.
Exactly. Just let me finish my point. What you have said is absolutely right, and I understand all that. But with all that said, if a man and a woman decide to stay together, nothing can stop them. It's only that it reaches a point, like you said, if there is need for recourse, that union has a problem. Somebody needs to claim something. In law, you cannot claim if you don't have that registration. But nothing stops you from staying together as husband and wife, and each one of you doing the responsibilities of the other. So that is one thing I wanted to say. However, my second point was going to be, Jared, what was done today was not a coalition. They did not create a coalition yet. What happened was that Ruto, through his party UDA, recognized the fact that they have problems, they have challenges, they have shortfalls in them delivering what they promised to Kenyans. So what did he do as a party leader? He said, I think the expertise, the support that I need to be able to do what I'm supposed to do for Kenyans, I can get from the ODM party. Okay? And the law allows the president and a party leader to form any form of union with anyone else they want. So UDA as a party, through its organs, that's why the Secretary General was there, with their legal counsel, they were there. The same for ODM. They said, ODM, tuko na shida kwa hii nyumba yetu. Please come and help us. And ODM said, oh, okay, it's fine. So they formed a union with a clear understanding of what each one of them will do in that union. Does not have to be anchored in the constitution by any chance. But the risk is that if something happens that they have a problem, because it's not anchored in the constitution, a recourse may not be possible or may not be easy. But nothing stops UDA party coming together with ODM party to combine their strengths to allow the UDA party to deliver to Kenyans what it needs to do. I think we have to get that clear first and agree that there is nothing illegal in what they did. It's just two political parties coming together and saying, can you support me? Can you lend me your expertise to help me deliver what I want? Now, that MOU can create a foundation for them to say, you know what, you ODM, you have been a good partner to us. Can we consider then creating a coalition? Right? That is a possibility. Or the other possibility is, hey, you guys, union, it is not working. ODM, I think it's been real to achane ishie hapo, and everyone walks away. Nothing is illegal about that as well. So we have to be very clear on both of those. They have just come together to support each other, and each party brought its own organs to accept the other's invitation to work together. That is allowed in law. The other point is that the president has the discretion to make decisions in some matters, not all matters, in some matters, right? Especially when it touches on how he wants to deliver his mandate and his manifesto to the people of Kenya. If the president of Kenya feels like, I have a problem here, but I think former president of South Africa is somebody that can help me with this because of 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons, he can do that and bring that as an expert and see if there is compensation for that person's effort. How does that get entrenched into law so that this person is onboarded as a consultant, advisor, or whatever. That is what Ruto has done. So if he feels that by allowing ODM to lend its expertise to the UDA administration, if he feels that the leader of ODM deserves to be compensated for some reason for his efforts to support the UDA party, the president can institute that process and have it in law, where now the leader of ODM can be compensated and certain amenities or whatever benefits given to him legally. And trust me, that is something that will be happening in the background. It doesn't have to come out in the front. You will not even know it, but they will do it because that's how they can do it in law. With that said, Alex, I did not mean to say that ODM sanitizes UDA just by the fact that they have joined hands, right? There are certain things that they will have to do in the process of that sanitization. And like I said, the first thing that you will see happening, and you can take this to the bank, a commission of inquiry is going to be instituted, driven by whoever the president would choose, but based on the advice of his elder brother Raila, We need to have a commission of inquiry. Let us do an investigation on what happened with these people who were killed in the demonstrations, those who've been kidnapped, those who've been died. That is something that will be done. Two, they will come up with a way that they're going to start looking into all of the economic crimes, like what you're saying, Alex, about the 104 billion that disappeared. How did this happen? How can we stop this from happening? I mean, there's so many things that the expertise of ODM that UDA is tapping into will come to do. And once those are done, eventually after some time, when we come out the tunnel on the other end, then there should be an acceptance that yes, wrongs were done at 2 years at the beginning, but we have now come to the bottom of the investigations, and we have seen that this is what happened. And trust me, some people will be sacrificed, some people will go to jail, some people will be interdicted if they're police and things like that. And we all know that if that is done, Kenyans will have the perception that things are working. Whether they're working or not, whether they're working or they're not working, that would probably be a different discussion. But Alex, what I meant when I say that they're sanitizing is not just because they have joined hands, now UDA is clean. No. There are things that they will demand of the government to do. The leader, the party in leadership, the ODM brigade will demand some things of them as the process of cleansing. Now, that is where inaitwa ile kizungumkuti, Jared, that brings us to the point. If ODM tells UDA that, you know, these youths were killed, there is not clear how this was done. We demand that let's put in a framework to do investigations and come up with a report so that Kenyans can know. And for example, UDA says, no, hapana, hatuwezi fanya kama kitu kama hiyo commission of inquiry, whatever you call it, we don't want it. Then they have a disagreement. Then that union can break up. And if it breaks out, anyone can walk out. They don't have to go and register anything at the political parties because this is not a coalition. So if ODM suggests something and UDA refuses to follow that, if they feel like it's strong enough for them to say, you know what, we came in to help you, to lend our expertise, but you're not listening to us, it's been real. Nyie endeleeni na kazi, sisi tunaenda this other direction. And there is nothing wrong with that. So I think that we have to put everything into context. However, what we should note is that, yes, the union, people are going to benefit. And believe me, even if it was UDA and whatever other party Wamunyoro is going to put, or whichever other formation, what watakula, regardless. So the fact that ODM watakula, because as a result of the union with UDA, tutapiga tu kelele, but there's nothing you can do. They will eat regardless. Hata ukiwatoa ODM ulete wiper hapo, watakula. So somebody will eat somewhere, and that is just the nature of the reality of our times. So me, that's how I see it.
Perfect, Jeremiah, for your submission. Of course, you responded to Jared. Now, Buru, it's your time now. I know you have listened to the speakers who have spoken before you just came. Buru, you are mute. You're on mute.
Sorry. I was saying today I'm trying not to be responding to the panelists because I have a lot to say. So allow me just begin by saying that in Kenya, we don't have real democracy. When I saw what transpired between Raila Odinga and William Ruto, I was contemplating in my mind, what is the purpose for us to conduct one of the most expensive elections in Africa? Right now, the IEBC, they are asking for 60 billion for them to be able to conduct the next general election. What is the purpose of doing all this if after going through that rigorous process, the winner and a loser come together, they shake hands and they form the same government after spending billions of money in such an exercise? It means it's an exercise in futility. So there is no democracy, not because we don't have a good constitution, but because our leaders stood for nothing. If Raila Odinga has been standing for something, he would have been strong enough to fight for that which he believes in his heart, that this is what I stand for. This is the kind of Kenya that I am eager to see, and therefore, this is what I will stand for. We saw Raila Odinga join the Moi government through Handshake. He joined the Kibaki government through Handshake. He joined the Uhuru government through Handshake. Now he has joined the Ruto government through Handshake. When he is outside, he criticizes almost everything that the government does. But when he joins the same government, everything he was criticizing before becomes good. To me, that is hypocrisy of the highest order. Jeremiah, you said you are pleased that Raila Odinga has finally joined the government. However, in your submission, you brought it out that Raila Odinga is someone who is so corrupt and someone who supports corruption. When you said that he sanitizes those with corruption cases, that when Waiguru went to Upper Hill office, from there she became clean. That is not kind of leadership that we want. And I say, and I want to echo the words of Joram Wangira, that it is the high time that we as Kenyans, we come into terms what kind of leaders we have, and we start liberating ourselves. There are people who look at their leaders as if they are semi-gods and they worship them, that whatever they say, they have to do it. When they tell them to jump, they don't have to ask, why are you telling me to jump? They jump, and when they are up there is when they'll be asking, up to where should I jump? And why am I saying this? If Raila Odinga meant good for this country, he was supposed to support the Gen Z's movement, because the Gen Z's, these are young people who realized this nation is heading to the wrong direction. But because of his selfish agenda and selfishness, he decided to remain quiet simply because William Ruto was or had promised to support him for AU seat. We don't have leaders.
Just one thing, then you continue.
Yes.
The Gen Z movement had a very, very serious Achilles heel. It was a double-edged sword for them. Tribeless, leaderless. How do you think Raila would go to support an entity as amorphous as that doesn't have a leader? Raila is an experienced statesman. He knows how governments run. He knows what it takes to make a country stable. He was not going to start and jump and start supporting these young kids who don't even have a leader. Unless those kids would have gone to him and told him, Baba, we want you to come and be our leader, or whoever else they want, then I would say what you're saying is correct. But there is no way Raila could have supported the entity of an amorphous body like the Gen Z that doesn't have a leader to then come in to lead the government. That movement, and somebody has said it before, somebody was trying to get into power through the back door, and we know who he was. When all this thing was happening, he was in Mombasa doing whatever he was doing, and Raila had that information and he knew. So, Apot, I just wanted to submit that, but you can continue.
I want you to speak. I want you to speak without fear and mention the person, because
Gachagua.
You know, when you come to the show, you must be bold enough to say that which is in your heart and what you believe. You know?
The man was called Gachagua, former vice president.
So you see, that is the problem. Now you are coming out to defend Raila Odinga, that he was not going to support the Gen Zs or even criticize the government when the government was killing them, when the government was abducting them. Yet all these years he has been saying that he has been fighting for good governance, of which these Gen Zs were fighting for good governance. So when you tell me, no, Jeremiah, when you tell me that Raila Odinga could not come out and even utter a word to tell the government, can't you see these are our children who are tired with the kind of governance that we have in Kenya? You know, that wasn't also, that's not the direction I wanted to take. And I also want to say, it is hypocritical when I hear people right now, they are blaming Gachagua of sponsoring Gen Zs. Yet, Gachagua is not above the law. There are so many atrocities that happened. If there is anybody with concrete evidence that is true, Gachagua tried to overturn the government through Gen Zs. We know the procedures. He is not above the law. So those are just the excuses that the government is giving as the reason as to why they killed our children. Those Gen Zs are still there. And I know one day their voice will be heard. And this is what I said, that the hands of our president are tainted with the blood of the innocent. The hands of our president are tainted with the tears of Mama Bogas and Bodas, who were deceived that they were going to form the government together with William Ruto. And when he acquired power, he forgot them totally. Out of 100%, he has only fulfilled 14% of the promises that he made to Kenyans. And this is now halfway to the end of his government. Hypocrisy. The leaders that we have today, they are selfish, including the Raila Odinga that so many people worship. He only criticizes the government when he is outside. But when he joins the government becomes as white as snow. You know, he puts a blind eye. He does not see any wrong. He does not hear any wrong when he is the government. And Jeremiah, you cannot tell us that Raila Odinga is going to fix the wrongs in Ruto's government. It is not possible. You cannot be in the same bed with someone and you are asking who has made these bed sheets to be dirty. So, Kenyans, we are doomed. And my prayer is that all those who know what is good governance, it is the high time we air out what we think and what we feel, and we should know that we are on our own. Somebody here mentioned about the change of constitution so that they can increase the term of service for the leaders, political leaders. It is very unfortunate. But I pray that if this happens in that referendum, let it be a fight between the leaders and the people who feel oppressed. Because it cannot be that we have to keep on tailoring the constitution to fit the selfish nature of our leaders instead of implementing the good constitution that we have. Nobody who has sane mind right now who should be thinking of another referendum. We wasted billions of money through BBI. We wasted billions of money during the elections. And now we want to go through another process of referendum. If they do that, I am asking Kenyans, let it be a fight between us, the people, who know that these people are taking us for a ride, and our leaders. Because we cannot change the constitution simply because we want to create a position for Raila Odinga. And I saw some people saying, oh, from now, Raila Odinga is our prime minister. I want to remind you, like somebody said, whatever was signed is just a piece of paper. Anybody who is enlightened and educated understands that if something has not been deposited to the registrar of political parties, it remains just a piece of paper. And anything that someone has been given, which is not anchored in the Constitution, it just remains null and void. So those who are saying that from now Raila Odinga is our prime minister, we don't have a position of a prime minister. That is just a good dream that people should sleep and dream again. So we don't have such a position. And if we go for a referendum to create such a position, I want to tell you, and I'm waiting to see that, Kenyans will win against tyrannical, selfish leaders who mean nothing for this country. They just think of how they are going to win that tender, how they are going to be in government, how they are going to be seen as messiahs to be worshipped by the people. It is the high time that we liberate ourselves from such kind of leaders. And I'm not saying that we should, some people think because Boro is a Kikuyu, is thinking that a Kikuyu should be a leader. No. What I am saying is that in Kenya, we have deficiency of good leaders. And those who believe they stand for something, those who have principles, that they hate corruption, those who want transparency in our country, those who feel that corruption is a bad thing, those are the people that we should be supporting, regardless of the tribe where they come from. Bonnie.
Yes, that is a wise submission from Buru. Of course, he is slamming the government, of course. Jared, I know you have listened to Buru and also Jeremiah over here. I want to give you this chance so that you can also weigh on what they said and also add on some of the words.
Thank you very much, my brother. While listening to Jeremiah, I sympathize with my mother country, and I say that, I cry for my beloved country, because Jeremiah belongs to a group that have individualized governance in Kenya. So to them, governance equals Raila Amolo Odinga. To Jeremiah, governance of the Republic of Kenya equals Raila Odinga, nothing else. And again, when I listen to him, and he is now blaming Rigathi Gachagua for having wanted to overthrow the government, and I wonder, am I living in a country that is governed under the rule of law? Because we have the penal code, and the penal code, Cap 63 of the law of Kenya is very, very clear on what treason is. So if there is anybody who has evidence that Rigathi Gachagua tried to overthrow the government of Kenya, then this person should be helping the police and the DPP to see that Rigathi Gachagua is arraigned before the court of law and charged accordingly. So, coming here and shouting and blaming Rigathi Gachagua for, what is not the real case, does not help this country in any way. Again, just responding to Jeremiah, he was talking about a union, what was signed today at KICC, called it a union. And I was telling him that, because it's not recognized anywhere in law, it cannot be called a union. So we cannot say that it's either legal or illegal because it's not recognized by law. What is not recognized by law does not exist, and that is just as simple as that. And again, assuming that, it was a union, do we really need a union between two individuals to actualize the Kenyan Constitution when we are talking about institutionalization of governance? Because, we need to move away from this personalization and individualization of governance to institutionalization of governance. And that's where I have big problem with many people who are celebrating this piece of paper called the MOU that was signed today at the KICC. So assuming that piece of paper called MOU had what we call, the force of law. Assuming so, let us assume that it has the force of law. There are simple questions that I want to ask as a person who is a citizen of Kenya, voted for a new constitution, and later took part in the promulgation of a new constitution that took force on the 27th of August 2010. On 27th of August 2010, we gave to ourselves as the people of Kenya a new constitution, and that's why if you go to Uhuru Park, there is a flag that is permanently there that neither goes up nor down. Since it was taken up, it has been up there since the 27th of August 2010. So I was asking myself, what is the essence of this MOU, assuming that, it has some effect. Let us now assume, to make my brother Jeremiah happy. I want to make Jeremiah happy because I want to make him happy. So let us assume that it has some force of law. Then, if it has some force of law, and I've looked at, those items, there are around 10 items, then I was asking myself, for example, do we need an MOU between two individuals, to actualize what we call national unity? Do we need an MOU between two individuals to actualize what we call sharing and devolution of power? Do we need an MOU to actualize what we call the rule of law, especially where the police are concerned? Do we need an MOU between two individuals? I want you people to help me. Do we need an MOU for us, to expand our democracy and the participation of the people of Kenya?
Don't.
Allow me, just give me a break. Just give me a break. I finish, then you can come in. I'm still asking myself, I heard them talk of Article 37, the right to assemble, the right to picket, the right to give petitions, which is enshrined under Article 37 of the 2010 Constitution. Do we need an MOU to actualize such a right? This is a Bill of Rights for the people of Kenya. And a right is a right that is you get individual. It's your right, it's your individual right given to you by God. The right for you to demonstrate, the right for you to picket, is a right that is given to you by God, not even by the Constitution. So do you need an MOU between Raila Odinga and William Ruto for you to start exercising a right that you are given by the Almighty God? These are the questions that we need to ask ourselves. Do we need an MOU for the people of Kenya to start enjoying what we call human dignity? These are questions that we need to be asking. Do we need an MOU for people of Kenya to enjoy social justice? These are some of the things I'm asking myself. Do we need an MOU for people of Kenya to enjoy their human rights? You know how William Ruto's government violated the rights of the people of Kenya. We have just been discussing that, in 2023, they killed 70 young people. Last year, they killed 61 young people. That goes against, the human rights, the rights of a person, to live. People, were denied an opportunity to live. And, so we ask ourselves, do we need an MOU between two people for people to start enjoying their human rights? Do we need an MOU between two people for Kenya to enjoy good governance? Do we need an MOU for Kenya to enjoy what we call good integrity? Do we need an MOU for Kenya to enjoy what we call transparency and accountability in governance? Do we need an MOU for Kenya to attain what we call sustainable development? These are questions that we need to ask ourselves. Assuming that MOU is an iota of, the force of law. Do we really need that MOU? Where I stand as Jared Joram Wangira, I believe the only thing that we need to do as the people of Kenya is to ensure that, our Constitution 2010 is implemented to the letter. if we implement this constitution to the letter, we don't need this rubbish called MOUs, because, we'll have moved from individualization to institutionalization of governance.
Joram,
And that's the
Joram,
only thing that we need
your
to do
internet,
as the people of
your
Kenya.
internet, Joram.
No, she's okay. Oh, he's okay. Continue, Joram.
Go ahead.
Joram, continue. His mic is on mute. Bonnie and mute.
Guru, the problem is your internet. Joram is loud and clear.
Is my head okay?
So what I was saying was that, we don't need an MOU in any of our regards. The only thing that we need as the people of Kenya is to actualize our Kenyan 2010 constitution. If we actualize, our Kenya 2010 constitution as the people of Kenya, we will be at a good place. Where in the world do you hear, people, in real democracies, we have real democracies, like we have real democracy. For example, India is the largest democracy. Where do you hear, the loser, signing an MOU with the winner for purposes of, achieving, what is provided for in the Constitution? In the US, where do you hear that, the loser signs an MOU with the winner for purposes of actualizing the Constitution? We must ensure that the Constitution remains supreme. But, in Kenya, where we stand, it is Raila Odinga and William Ruto who seem to be supreme. The Constitution of Kenya does not seem to be supreme. The people who seem to be supreme are Raila Odinga and William Ruto. And that's where we need to run away from. We need to run away from that thinking and ensure that, the Kenyan 2010 constitution becomes supreme. The day the Kenyan 2010 constitution will become supreme, then we will have won this war of individualization of governance in the Republic of Kenya. Let me just stop there and allow somebody else to come in. Thank you.
Perfect, Jared. Of course, he responded to Jeremiah. Yes, Jeremiah, you listen to what Jared said, of course. Maybe you want to respond to him or clarify.
Thank you for giving me right of reply before. I think Alex also needs to speak, but let me just respond to Jared before Alex continues. Jared, all of those questions you've asked me, the answer to all of them would be no. We do not need an MOU for us to have our freedoms guaranteed. We do not need an MOU for us to enjoy our human rights. We do not need an MOU for us to have leaders of integrity. We do not, okay? But the reason why, and I said this in my very initial submission, the ruling party, UDA, must have done their own sort of internal assessment of what they need to do. And they figured that they have shortfall in talent, shortfall in expertise, shortfall in some area, right? That would stop them from delivering on those things like you've mentioned, Jared. So what did they say? Where can we get talent that can help us to bridge this gap so that we can deliver? And they probably must have looked around. They looked at other parties. They didn't see that expertise and talent in any of the other parties, but they saw it in ODM. So UDA, as the ruling party, reached out to where they think their help could come from and said, guys, we need you to come and help us do 1, 2, 3, 4. Would you guys be willing? And apparently ODM probably said yes, right? Then they said, fine, we will going to help you, but let's lay a foundation of this union. It is legal to the extent of the two parties relating. They had their legal counsel present. They had their secretaries general present. And they mentioned both Omar and Sifuna said that the validation of that document was taken through their internal party organs, and the parties endorsed and gave them gave their leaders, both Raila and Ruto, the go ahead to execute that. So to the extent of how the two of them will relate, that MOU is a valid legal document between the two of them. So to answer your question, no, we don't need an MOU for this. But the reason for that MOU was that UDA saw a shortfall. They had some challenges. They reached out to somebody who can help them. But then that person who can help them agreed. But then they said, let's lay some groundwork. Let's put some similarity of a framework of how we're going to work. And that's what that was. Now, what happens post that is something maybe the party leaders know, or maybe the parties know internally. But as we speak currently, Jared, those two Ruto and Raila are just the party leaders of those parties. But the MOU was not between Raila and Ruto. The MOU was between UDA and ODM. The extent of how well that MOU will work or how well it will fail, none of us can predict now. Probably only God knows. But what we know currently is that UDA, the ruling party, saw a shortfall in their party in terms of them delivering to Kenyans, all of those things you've mentioned, Jared, and they saw that they need help from an external entity. And that external entity happened to be ODM. They put up the framework of how they will do that. And that's the fact that we have as we speak. Let's not speculate how it will work. But what we know that they have that as a framework for them to work. If they decide to take it beyond just an MOU and they want to do a coalition, I agree with you totally, Jared. They will have to do a political party coalition agreement that then will have to deposit with the register of political parties that then creates a legal a coalition. But remember, what they did was not creating a coalition yet at this point. So we just have to deal with the situation as it is right now, not anticipatory that it's going to be like this tomorrow. We don't know how tomorrow is going to be. The fact we have is today, ODM and UDA have an MOU that allows them to collaborate and work together. I rest my case.
Jared is that is Jeremiah saying no to what Jared of course had asked him. Yes, Alex, you make your submission.
I've had a lot of things from Jared from Jeremiah. So let me start from the first point where Jeremiah spoke about something. You said Raila Odinga cannot support something that is partyless, that is leaderless, and that is, let's say, formless. So by the time the youth were forming the spaces on X to plan for the demonstrations, for that particular moment for the finance bill, it was supposed to remain leaderless, because from what we're seeing from the political scene is leaders are becoming very, very gullible. So that's why they opted for it to be leaderless. And also by the time, if we go back, I don't know whether Bonnie can get that clip. There's this girl who went viral during the first protest. I think her name was Anini Baraza. She spoke about something and she was saying, Agwambo, we saw your struggles. Now let us go to the streets. Agwambo, you just stay at home. That's what they just needed. They didn't need Agwambo to support. They just needed him not to interfere, to let them go to the streets and exercise their right, which is guaranteed in the Constitution and Article 37.
Hence his silence. Hence his silence. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, but from what we have seen, let's look at this thing a bit objectively. If just and I don't know who are the people advising Raila, because if just Raila aligned with the demonstrations of the youth, maybe by now Ruto would have resigned or could have been ousted from office. From what we saw in Bangladesh, and maybe Raila would be the one who is in power. But again, from what we always see from Raila every time is he ends up making the wrong decision. And even if right now, let's say we are speaking about, let's say, the coalition government, this or that, in 2022, Raila and his people, they liaised with the previous regime, the one for Uhuru Kenyatta. And that is a regime which Kenyans were very angry at, and they wanted to send it home because we saw we saw there was embezzlement of funds, and we also saw that there was a hike in the prices of things. In that time of Uhuru ndio tuliona bei ya mkate ilipanda, bei ya maziwa ilipanda from 50 to 60, 65. And so Kenyans were very bitter and angry at the government, and they wanted to send it at home. And on the other hand, President Ruto was busy addressing these issues. And as we always hear every time now and then, the people of the mountain hate betrayal. So they hate that the fact that Uhuru betrayed Ruto. So right now, Jeremiah, ODM is making the same mistake again, and they're expecting different results. They're choosing to liaise with this regime that Kenyans are very bitter, Kenyans are very angry at, and they wanted to send it home. Then it will reach to 27, and then they will lose the election. Then they will start wondering, where did we go wrong? So they should stop doing the same mistakes and just choose to do things a bit different. They have a good Secretary General, Sifuna, and Sifuna just tackles things objectively, and that's what I think ODM should be doing. Just follow what Sifuna is saying, Sifuna is doing, they will be at the right path. Like in Sasao, like they keep on making the same mistakes, and that's why ODM will always be on the other side of opposition. Okay, right now they can say they are in power, but what is the need to kuingilia mlango wa nyuma? You should just go and get the jugular, go and get the piece of the cake itself, and when you do it, upate hapo, just make sure you do away with corruption, because the president is making it seem as if leading this country is a very difficult task. It's not very hard to lead this country. It's not very hard as President Ruto is just making it to look like. So sitaki niseme mengi. Back to you, Boni.
Yes, Buru, of course, I want you to just respond, and then I have some of the clips of today. We shall wait on them.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me clearly, Bonnie.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yes, I remember the Gen Zs told Raila Odinga to stay at home so that they may do demonstrations. But that does not justify him keeping quiet when they were being crushed by the government. They did not tell Raila Odinga, don't talk when we are being killed. They did not tell Raila Odinga not to talk when they were being abducted. Someone has said that we lost 70 young people in 2023 and another 61 in 2024. I think it was Joram. Those young people, they might have violated the law in one way or the other. What they required from the elders is guidance, is good counsel, is direction, not death. Any leader who cares for the nation cannot dare to kill even a single person because of political power. When you are killing someone's child, you are telling us that you are better than that person. Your life is better than that of that person because you are a president or because you are a leader in any position. You're also telling us that your children are special than the children of the poor, those who are going out on the street because maybe they can't feed themselves because of jobs that they don't have. Yet it is the government which is supposed to create jobs for these people. So let nobody try to justify the reason why Raila Odinga had to be quiet when those evils were happening. And as I said, if we're going to be spending billions of money, then after that, we go through violence, people die. Then after that, we form a government of handshake. There is no need of using all that money. We can only be having elections for the members of parliament, the senators, and governors. Then they go and sit down and agree who is going to be the president of Kenya. Raila Odinga, the reason why I myself don't support his politics is because I see a lot of selfishness, not because I hate him. I don't hate him. He has the ability of changing the governance. If he has been principled, if he has been able to stand his ground, today he would be the president of Kenya. But because of not being principled and because of believing he must be in government at whatever cost, that is why he has never become the leader in this nation. That is why he formed a coalition with Moi, a coalition with Kibaki, a coalition with Uhuru, a coalition now with Ruto, and a coalition maybe with the next government. If you are a leader and you believe in something and you have an ideology and you have an idea that you want to implement, you stand principled in what you believe. So I wanted to say this. I've been studying the politics of Raila Odinga. And that is why Ruto said, don't worry, during the demonstrations. He said, I know where these demonstrations will end. And Raila Odinga also said, I also know William Ruto. These people, and the reason why I said I don't support the politics of Raila Odinga is because he creates a challenge after he loses an election. He makes sure that the country becomes ungovernable. He creates a problem. People die. They confront with the government. They have a serious confrontation. The economy paralyzes. Then he enters into a table of negotiation to solve the same problem that he created. Now he comes as a messiah, as a savior. I have come to save you because you are having economical challenges, you're having this and that problem. Yet it is his own creation and those that support him. And that is one of the reasons why myself, I don't support his leadership. Today, he is sitting on the same table with William Ruto. The big question that I want Kenyans to be asking themselves, what will happen to those whose children were killed in demonstrations because they believed that Raila Odinga was fighting for them, that Raila Odinga was fighting for the economy of the country, for development, for good governance? What will happen to them? In that MOU, did you even hear them mention that there are people who died who were supporting my cause? Nobody talked about them. What will happen to the Gen Zs who died because of they were fighting for good governance?
NADCO.
So,
NADCO.
You can't talk about it. Yeah, it's okay. You're gonna have time. So
I'm just giving you a snippet. NADCO.
You discuss about it is fine. So William Ruto has become so unpopular, and I want to, as I conclude, I want just to say two things. That this government of Raila Odinga and William Ruto has come together because of only two reasons. Reason number one, those who are not in government, Raila Odinga and his team, they are going to the government to eat. That is the truth, the naked truth that many people don't want to hear. The reason why they don't accept to be outside the government, because there is cold there. Outside the government, there is no corruption. There is no those tenders.
That's what Gachagua
wants. Let me finish,
also.
Jeremiah, yes, let me finish. So one of the major reasons why they join the government, they fight to be government at whatever cost, is because they go there to eat like those who are in government. Number two, the reason why William Ruto had to accept them, it is because he knows that he has shortage of votes or support, especially for 2027. And even right now, He knows if we are to go, he knew before now being joined by Raila Odinga, he knew that he was a very weak president with a very weak government, and he needed somebody to strengthen his government. That is the second reason why he needed Raila Odinga to join him. Let me stop there so that somebody else can have the floor.
Perfect, Jeff Buru. We have Richie Makiadi, long time, my good friend. I've not seen you. Welcome to Africa 24, of course, to give us your view about the Ruto Raila handshake and how does this one now impact our country in terms of developments. Or is what do you think about the handshake that happened today?
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. Thank you so much, my brother Bon. Let me say hi to all of you. Long time no see. I see Jeff Mburu ameniekea cutting. Lakini ni sawa sawa tu. I know he will hear what I'm about to say. Let me start. Niko na point kadhaa ninataka kumake across, and I don't know where I should begin.
You have time. Richie, you have time. We have missed you here for long since last year.
Yes. But I normally listen in the background, so naendeleaga kusikiza kitu inaendelea hapa. So let me start here. Jeff is always complaining about Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga does not owe anybody an explanation for the political moves that he makes. If we go back to the history of Raila Odinga's political movement, we have had a particular group of people who have always wanted to send Raila Odinga to Bondo for retirement. From 1997, 2002, 2007, 2012, 2017, 2022, 2027, the song has been Raila aende nyumbani, aende Bondo, retire. So they told us, the same people told us that kumi ya Uhuru, kumi ya Ruto. And we went into an election knowing very well that we have kumi ya Uhuru, kumi ya Ruto. So 2 years into William Ruto's election, presidency, the same people who told us that William Ruto is God sent are now telling us William Ruto is not the best leader for our country. So we should unite and oust William Ruto from presidency. Jeff, I told you the other time, and I'll repeat again. I told you that last time we were together here that Raila Odinga had 2 choices. He either worked with William Ruto or worked with Rigathi Gachagua. The truth about politics is you look at the side that has something, the side that offers you something. Rigathi Gachagua offers Raila Odinga nothing, 0. And I'll go back to saying this. Whatever Rigathi Gachagua is doing right now with the teams of likes of Kalonzo Musyoka and all that, he should have done this before he got the deputy presidency. Because with that, he would have some muscle, some political muscle to bargain, to be respected in the politics of Republic of Kenya. Unfortunately, he took himself like a soldier, a general, not knowing that the person who put you there can always, at any time, dispense you and move on with life. So Rigathi Gachagua offers Raila nothing politically. And Raila Odinga decided he's going to work with a side that fits his coalition. Politics is about numbers. Raila Odinga has a group of MPs, a sizable group of MPs in parliament. Rigathi Gachagua has none. So UDA, as much as we agree that UDA is a weak political party right now, as much as we agree that William Ruto does not have the political muscle to govern the Republic of Kenya, we should also agree that with the entrance of Raila Odinga into some form of coalition, we are calling it coalition, we are calling it some form of working agreement, the entrance of Raila Odinga into the so-called merger, if we can call it a political merger, which I don't think it is, or a political coalition or whatever Jeremiah was trying to give us a name here, injects some, momentum into William Ruto's government. So right now, wherever William Ruto is sleeping, he has some peace because he knows politically he has somebody to back him up. And that is the truth of the matter. Raila Odinga knew very well that if he misses the AU, the AU position, he had to come back to Kenya and make a political decision. And that is what he has done. So let us be fair to ODM, because we always say here that Mboro, I agree with you, huko nje iko baridi mingi sana. And when people are sitting on the table discussing about which roads are going to be built or constructed, ODM was always on the sideline. I don't see why, as Kenyans, ODM as Kenyans cannot be happy when they are also considered when people are talking about development. So if they get these positions and help their people, if you go to some areas in Kenya, they are very well developed. There are good roads, good infrastructure and all that, because the government of the day has always made it possible for them to be in that status. And there are other areas in Kenya which have been considered for a long time opposition. Na mimi nakwambia namna hii Mboro. Unajua tumepiga naye siasa hapa muda mrefu sana. Kitu inaitwa opposition ni ngumu. Ni ngumu sana. It is very difficult to keep a government in check because in so doing your people suffer. Our constitution is designed to have the minority and the majority. Unfortunately, we have always demonized the minority. Tunawaitanga opposition, watu wa kupinga serikali, which is not the case. And by so doing, their people end up missing the services of the government. So saa hii, Raila ameingiza watu wake kwa serikali ya Ruto na Wamunyoro automatically directly becomes the official opposition leader. Let me tell you, ile mapicha mlikuwa mnatutumia kwa internet mkiingia kwa ofisi saa 11 siku ya maandamano, mkisema mumekaa na polisi, mtu ajaribu kuingia town kuchoma biashara. We want you also, the people who were in government when it was your right time to eat, we want you also to go out in the streets and demonstrate. Go out there, mwende mpigane na polisi, mwende mpige polisi mawe, ndio mjue what it means for democracy. We cannot be a people who only shout for democracy, out for democracy when it fits us. When we are in government, we are always silent. Rigathi Gachagua had an opportunity to speak against the brutality and killings of our youth during the maandamano. Unfortunately, he was quiet. So we cannot justify that the Kalonzo team, the Rigathi team, the Wamalwa team is the better option. We cannot justify. There are also politicians who are now in the cold, and that is why they are making a lot of noise. Now, let me say this. Whatever has happened today is something that is not new to us. We know during the coalition government, we had Raila Odinga on one side, we had Mwai Kibaki on the other side. And things happened. We saw development, we saw accountability, and we saw a little bit of political, machinization that brought about the change in our constitution. So I want to give them a benefit of doubt. I'm not a person who looks at things and say, oh, huyu ameenda huko kwa sababu sijui ata, like people are trying to portray that William Ruto said he is going to keep Raila Odinga very well, atamweka vizuri. So that I want us to give these people a chance. Let us give them a chance, because they have said they are going to implement a certain, they call it a NADCO report, which is going to bring, I don't know, justice and all that. Let us give them a benefit of doubt. We have lived in these 2 years and we have seen the misery that Kenyans are passing through. And I always say this, and this is just my opinion, that sometimes you are allowed to walk with the devil in times of danger until you cross until you cross the river. So right now, Raila Odinga uniting with William Ruto, I think however much we want to demonize, it might be a good thing for our country so that we can bring the political temperatures down and we can focus on delivering to the Kenyans what was promised by the UDA government. Unlike my friend Jeremiah here, I do not believe that ODM adds anything in terms of expertise. There's no expert in ODM. Hakuna kitu ambaye unaweza niambia mtu ya ODM ataleta mpya. There's no expertise in ODM. Hakuna kitu. What we are doing is bringing the political temperatures down and having a government in place that is comfortable to govern. You know, governing is making hard decisions. William Ruto, at the point where he was, where Wamunyoro was going from point A to point B, making noise every weekend. As a president, you should be looking at all what is happening and be afraid. Because this is like, these people are out causing rebellion against the president. So cementing this agreement today and bringing Raila in gives William Ruto some stability. And the stability will definitely bring the political temperatures down. Now, what is happening? Wamunyoro is being confined to one section, whereby he can go from one house to the other, aende apige ile siasa anataka, knowing very well hiyo siasa yake hakuna kitu itafanya. What we are saying as observers of the politics of Kenya, we are not experts, but we are telling you, 2027, hata msiende kuprint ballot papers. Hii mambo ya uchaguzi, mnasema mnataka 60 billion juu ya IBC, hakuna haja. What I'm telling you, Raila Odinga and William Ruto coming together, that tells you, ile 10 mlituambia in the beginning mnataka 10-10, ndio hiyo sasa leo imewekwa kidole na imekuwa official. Thank you guys.
Perfect, my good friend Richie. Now, you mentioned Jeremiah. Before Buru comes in, Jeremiah, you heard what Richie said. Maybe you can respond.
I like Richie's submission. Ameniongelelea Mburu things that I wanted to tell Mburu. I'm not going to add anything. Let Mburu respond. Anything I would say would be exactly what Richie has said. Wacha Mburu ajibu. I'm not going to say anything.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
Yeah, Buru,
but I think Alex needed to talk before I say anything. I don't want him to be there very quiet.
Nimesikiza vitu mob zenye Richie amesema, and some things he are saying, he is raising are very true, that for some people we question, mostly the people who come from the places where Raila is from, or the places where are his biggest voting blocks. You feel that in terms of developments, you guys are lacking behind in terms of roads, in terms of schools, in terms of facilities like healthcare and whatsoever. So his supporters, or let's say even him as a leader, we feel like they feel as if they're lacking behind. And if they look at the regimes that have been there, so the two tribes that elected Uhuru and Ruto, zenye ni Kikuyu and Kalenjin, people would feel like in Central the roads are way ahead compared to the ones, let's say, maybe in Western of Nyanza. So, but I think that's an issue to do with the leaders, because the last time I checked, democracy entails you cater for those ones who voted for you and those ones who did not vote for you. So when they're drafting the finance bill or the budget, or they're looking to distribute resources, leaders should do it to across all parts of the country. For example, if Ruto, let's say, and he was in with Gachagua, and they wanted to try and get some votes from the voting blocks of Raila, the best way to do it is to carry out developments. Because if you go and build them roads, ukuja useme Kibaki alikuwa, na Kibaki hakujenga mabarabara. Sisi tumekuja tumewajengea. If you do those things for those people, you will be able to get some votes from there. Utagalvanize some people, and as you keep on doing developments, you're winning them over to your side. But what happens is you find when people enter, you go there to develop the areas that you're from, and you omit the other places where you did not get the votes, which for me I feel that is wrong, because if today I am elected, I'm supposed to cater for those ones who voted for me, those ones who did not vote for me, and I believe that is true democracy, but we are failing to see it in the country. So I hope we can break that cycle or that bad system. So the bad thing with regard is just that he came out and said it, but it's something that is there. So staki niseme mingi, happy to see you Richie. Back to you Bonnie.
Yes. Mburu, you were mentioned by Richie, so you have time now to respond to Richie.
Yeah, that's fine. Huh?
Before
I'll
Jeremiah
start
comes in.
with Jeremiah. Jeremiah said that probably William Ruto realized there is shortage of expertise in UDA, and therefore he decided to go and look for what they were missing in ODM. And Richie said it very well. There was no shortage of human resource of any capacity, because we know UDA was a party with 7 million people, 7 million supporters, and even more. So if there was something that was missing in terms of expertise, they would have gone out there and source what they needed. So that is not a good reason as to why they merged. Having said that, we have always said that Raila Odinga is the father of democracy in Kenya, the liberator. We have given him all the good names. And on his conduct on formations of coalitions and handshakes tells me different, because I'm thinking when I listened to Richie that he was contemplating between joining Gachagua and joining William Ruto. Gachagua had nothing to offer, but William Ruto had something to offer. That is an act of desperation. Does it mean Raila Odinga, as the father of democracy, as a liberator, or as a freedom fighter, we have given him all these good names? Does it mean he was not having stamina to start on his own and forge ahead and fight for his political path without William Ruto or Gachagua? The other mistake I have seen with Richie is that he is trying to reduce the whole debate to rotate around Kikuyus, Gachagua versus others, which I don't think is very appropriate. However, even that Gachagua that you are despising so much, I remember we were in the same show, and I said people despise Gachagua because of the way he portrays himself as a villager. But I remember warning people here, don't underestimate this man so much. And I said he has the ability to bring the whole government of William Ruto down. People were even saying Gachagua is not having the backing of his political base from Mount Kenya. But today, everybody agrees with me that he has, within the shortest time possible, from the time, few months, from the time he was kicked out of the office, he has been in a position to mobilize almost 100% of Mount Kenya to turn against the government. That is not someone that you can underestimate. And this region of Mount Kenya is very rich when it comes to votes. The registered voters are almost 7 million votes. 7 million votes are enough even to make someone a president. So you have said he has nothing, he has no impact. He has been in a position to mobilize so many people. The people I saw who are working with Gachagua are not primarily from Mount Kenya. I have seen the Kambas there. I have seen the people from all the corners of Kenya are working together with Gachagua. For you to capture power, you need resilience, you need money, and you need numbers. Gachagua has all that. The people behind him has all that. They can have all the money they need for campaign. Gachagua himself has the courage to fight, to confront the government. So as much as we would like to despise him as a nobody, this is a man to watch. I'm not saying this because he's a Kikuyu, because that is the statement of facts. And that is why he said confidently that the person they are going to support. And I want to add, maybe, if there will be no rigging, I am confident that person will form the next government. I want to say this. As I conclude, I have visited most parts of Kenya, and many people, because of not visiting some parts, they think that Central Kenya is so developed than other parts. And that is why they say Central Kenya, and this was a misconception which came mostly from the leaders, especially in 2007, who were saying Central Kenya is like paradise and other regions have been neglected, yet the government has been concentrating in building Central Kenya. That is not true. I would like you, Richie, I would like you, Jeremiah, and the rest to visit parts of Central Kenya. It's good that I got a chance of going around with Rio, who was conducting shows here. And when I went with Rio, he said, wow, I didn't know that there are some parts of Central Kenya that are like this. So when you hear people talking of how much Central Kenya is developed, it's a lie. It's a lie. We have some places, we have very bad roads that you cannot even be able to go with your car. Yet there are people who live there. Some places you crops a lot in farms because we don't have good roads. We are just like any other part of Kenya. So I would like you people to visit those places, and you will.
I think we've lost Mburu.
Yes, I think the problem with Mburu ni network yake,
His
but anyway,
political base. It's okay,
yes,
Bonnie, you
perfect.
can.
Mburu tumekupoteza kidogo.
Yes, Jeremiah, please, after Buru or Richie.
Do
Richie
I
can
get
respond.
let me get a rebuttal of my brother Jeremiah. Wacha nichukue rebuttal kwanza alafu nikuachie usukani.
No problem.
My brother Jeff, unajua when you tell us that Raila Odinga was desperate to join William Ruto or join Rigathi Gachagua. Let me be honest. I have supported Raila Odinga ever since he started running for election. And I think it's mediocrity of the highest order to tell us that Raila Odinga was joining, the word joining Rigathi Gachagua. Where does Rigathi Gachagua get the political muscle, the political influence to make Raila Odinga join him in doing what? Rigathi Gachagua was impeached even by his central MPs. So when you tell us that Rigathi Gachagua has mobilized, people from all over the country, you are lying to us and you are lying to yourself, because Rigathi Gachagua has shown us politically that he does not care about anyone outside his community. Simple. When he told us that the government is about shareholders, and when they are discussing about development, the people who will get development first are the people who voted for that government. We sat down and we listened, because that was the truth. Development in Kenya has been distributed according to political alliance. If you pay respect, if you pay homage to the government of the day, then your part of where you come from, your community gets rewarded. It's simple. Look at the cabinet secretaries right now in Kenya. Half of them come from one region. These are simple facts. You can see them. And why was this? It's because people from that particular region were perceived to be friendly to the government. It happened in Kenyatta's time, it happened in Moi's time, it happened in Kibaki's time, it happened in Uhuru's time, it is happening in William Ruto's time. So we know very well that when you come here and tell us that we are lying, some regions are not well developed than others, I think it is being unfair to the listeners. That is number one. Number two, we are looking at the formation of political parties right now, preparing for 2027 election. There are so many people who have suggested they want to run for the presidency. I've seen Maraga. I have seen Eugene Wamalwa.
Morara Kebaso.
Kebaso. I have seen Okia Umtata. I have seen all these people. All these people want to be president. We only have one country. If we truly care about removing William Ruto from power, then I think we should sit down and reconsider who will run against William Ruto. Because from where I sit, I have to be honest with you, I do not see a candidate, from any part of the country, that is going to dislodge William Ruto from that position. There is no candidate. You are telling us about political muscle. There is no candidate right now who has the finances to run a campaign, a presidential campaign against William Ruto. And today, like I said earlier, today was like the political stamp of the 2027 campaign. If William Ruto is not running against Raila Odinga, I can tell you, do not even, usiende hata kupiga kura Mboro, hata usikampaign, kwa sababu hakuna mtu mwingine yoyote ambaye atatoa William Ruto hapo. Hiyo ndio kweli yenye iko saa hii. We look at the type of rigging. I like the way you said it, Mburu. You said unless there's rigging, mutatoa William Ruto. Let me tell you, na hii you can take to the bank. Nyinyi kuanzia 2007 mlituambia kwamba elections inakuanga free and fair, lakini Raila Odinga huwa anashindwa akilia, anasema amerigiwa. Mnasema hiyo ni mazoea yake. He is a political cry baby. Yeah? He never accepted defeat. So today, when you are out of government, again you want to remind us that elections are always rigged. What? What?
And he is going to cry again.
Yeah, now you are telling us today, unless there is rigging, we listen to you guys very carefully. Yeah? Unless there is rigging, there are people who will remove William Ruto from that position. So what you are telling us is, previously, you have rigged the previous elections, but because you are on the good side of the rigging, then that was okay. My brother, I'm telling you, unajua kuna siku tulikuwa tunaambiwa mkilala njaa, mama na baba wanaambia kazeni kamba, kaza mshipi, iko njaa kwa hii nyumba. When we were broke, ile siku hatukuwa na chakula kwa manyumba, unaambiwa kazeni kamba, hizi wiki mbili zinakuja mpaka tulipo mshahara, hakuna chakula. So mimi nakwambia namna hii, opposition ni ngumu. Mburu, opposition, unajua mjakaa opposition, na mimi nikisema hamja, sisemi wewe as a person, as in a tribe or something. I'm telling you, the people who supported William Ruto in 2022, expecting that it will be kumi for Ruto, and then after Ruto's term in 2032, irudi mahali ilitoka, murudishie Gachagua mkono baada ya miaka 10. My friend, kaza kamba, because maisha itaenda kukua ngumu, and we will be there to witness. Kazi yetu ni kukaa sasa, tuone vile mnajua kuandamana, kurusha mawe, kung'ang'ana na serikali na polisi. Whatever happened to the youths wenye walipigwa risasi Nairobi, and there is nobody, akina all these guys unasikia wanapiga kelele huku, akina Gachagua, akina nani, they said nothing. And that is what, hiyo ndio kitu mimi inanikasirisha Mburu kila wakati. I feel really bad that right now we look at Gachagua as a political messiah. And it is the same person who was the deputy president, number 2 in command. Hata siku zile, remember very well, wakati kulikuwa kukuwe na maandamano Nairobi, William Ruto alikuwa anatoroka Kenya, anatafuta trip ya kuenda nje. Then Gachagua was in charge. And the story was, Gachagua ni mwanaume, mtaona, hebu mjaribu kwenda nje saa hii. Jaribuni kwenda maandamano kesho. Mtaona Gachagua ni mwanaume. Si Ruto mwenye mnachezea. Let him go outside sasa. Kama anapenda sana wananchi na anataka kutupigania, we want to see Gachagua out in the streets on Monday morning saa 2. Aende aitishe maandamano ya kupinga William Ruto. Thank you.
Perfect, Makiari, of course, that was awesome. Jeremiah, of course, I know Buru want to respond on that.
Buru, you are anticipating, unaanza kucheka tu, si ndio? Because you know I'm coming for you.
Jeremiah,
I don't know where Joram went to, but I also needed a rebuttal to, I needed to answer some of the things he said, but that's okay. But Richie, I really, agree with your sentiments totally, and I share the same position, and I've expressed the same here severally. The fault that I see with Mburu, and I wrote in my chat sometime last week, Mburu, I told you that now I know where you come with this assumption that the numbers are 7 million, 2 million here. And it's becoming, almost every day, lazima tukuambie, boss, those numbers you are saying, the assumption you are making is so wrong that hizo numbers, 7 million are central, ati zote zinaendea Gachagua. How? It's not going to happen. It's not, you see that assumption, yeah? And then, let me tell you, you see kina Kalonzo, kina Karua, kina Wamalwa, you're making a wrong mistake and saying that they're working with Gachagua. No, they're not. They're still exploring to try to see who Jama, what is he bringing. And I keep telling you every time that remember that Gachagua himself is not going to run. So these people will want to know from him at the very, very onset, before the transfer window closes, that who are you going to bring for us? Because we know where hautakimbia. That is going to be a very, very big factor for these people to decide to work with him or not. He has to tell them very early on, Mimi, I'm going to push Kalonzo or who to give. Then now those people will decide from there. At the moment, they're just exploring. And like Richie said, politics is about interest. What is Gachagua offering Kalonzo now that Ruto cannot offer Kalonzo? You have to answer that question, then you know where he will probably end up going. Right now, he has to build his base, he has to create value, so that when the time comes for him to come to negotiate, he has value. And that's what I told you. That is what a lot of these people are doing now. Kina Natembea and all, they're just speculating in their value, so that when the time comes to start negotiating, they come and tell you, see, I can do this, I have these numbers. Then they can negotiate. Those, as far as we know right now, the only formation that is, almost 100% done is here UDA na ODM. They've already at least put together an MOU. They are going to work together, right? The other side are tujui. So all those people that are walking around with Gachagua, don't be fooled, Mburu. They are not working with him. It's not cast in stone yet. Those people are still exploring their options. And I can tell you for a fact that it's going to be difficult when they want to make a decision, transfer window inaisha, na nauliza Gachagua, so wewe, we know you're not running. Who is it that you want us to support? Who do you want us to run with? Who is going to be our leader? Wapewe watu somebody they don't want, somebody they don't like. They're going to bolt, right? So that is going to happen. The numbers, Mburu's numbers, don't assume that all the numbers, like the way you're putting it, and I sent you a text the other day and told you that now I know where you get the assumption of numbers, because I saw the way Gachagua was speaking in Ukambani, that nyinyi wakamba mlete hiyo 5 million yenu, mimi nichukue na 7 million ya Central, alafu sijui tushukue sijui na 7 million. Does he have those votes in a bucket? Anaenda kuzimwaga ndani ya ballot box. We have to, that assumption is a very wrong assumption. We have to really look through it. Moving forward, I think that, like Richard said, and I've said it also here before, I do not see anyone beating Ruto. Even if Raila was to run against Ruto, even Raila cannot beat Ruto. That I can tell you for a fact. I do not see a possibility, like I've said before, I don't see a scenario where on a Sunday morning, Ruto aende as a president, apatie mtu sword Kasarani, alafu atoke as a civilian. I don't see that happening. The best that would happen is he will make sure that it's so difficult that no one is getting a straight win, a kind of government of national unity or coalition government of sorts with somebody, with him as president, huyo mtu aingie apewe whatever position. The same thing that happened with Raila and Kibaki then. That is the best case scenario. I don't see a situation where Ruto loses and goes home. Mburu again, wachana na Raila. And this is the rejoinder that I wanted to make to you based on what Joram was saying. Joram was saying that we need to stop individualizing leadership and institutionalize leadership. Mburu, you are obsessed with Raila as a person. Maybe just wachana na Raila. Look at things objectively. Look at vitu different. Don't wachana na Raila. Wachana tu na Raila tu, and then you will see things much clearer. I can tell you that for a fact. But anajua ni ngumu. I know what I'm asking you is not going to be very easy, but I ask you, wachana na Raila. We just look at the machinations of politics, the calculations, the alliances, and the tectonic shifts in political movements and groupings and all. Don't fixate your focus on Raila too much, because I know you don't like him, you don't love him, you don't want him, period.
Are you hurting my brother?
Perfect.
Eh?
Guru, can you respond?
I'm not hurting, I'm just
Jeremiah, of course.
I would apologize. I'm sorry if I have hurt you by
No,
mentioning
you have not hurt. I'm just advising you. I'm advising you. I'm not saying it because I want it to make me happy. I'm just telling you.
My brother. You see, my brother. And
shift your focus. Be flexible.
Yeah, and Rich has been there. I like being looking at things in the right perspective. And I remember before 2022 general elections, I was here. And I said, basing on my own analysis, I don't see Raila Odinga winning. And people said, no, with the support of Uhuru Kenyatta, they have the government, they have the army, they have everything. People were saying the only thing that Raila Odinga was not having was the government support. That is why he had not become the president of Kenya. And I told you people, you have to listen to the ground. It's only that Raila Odinga fights himself in the wrong side of the time, and he doesn't listen to the ground, and that's where he goes wrong. And even now, Richie, I can tell you, if Raila Odinga is going to contest with William Ruto, they are going to fail together. There will be another cry. And again, they are going to say it has been stolen. Like I said it before 2022. And they will cry again and they will start saying, oh, let me tell you, there is nothing Ruto is having that Uhuru was not having in 2022. Ruto has everything, has the army, the deep state. It has Raila Odinga, the same formation, the same mistake. But what they don't have is majority of votes. So it's fortunate, let me not say unfortunate, it's fortunate that Jeremiah listened to the speech of Gachagua when he was in Machakos, and he gave the breakdown of how the general election will look like. That is facts. And that is what people don't like believing. I'm a psychologist. That's by profession. In psychology, we don't read people's minds, but we interpret people's behaviors. I can tell you how each and every tribe of Kenya behaves when it comes to elections. And based on that, you can interpret the pattern that will be there in 2027. Central Kenya, I said it votes as a bloc. And Central Kenya does not. This is historically. It's almost like a culture. Does not support two people at the same time. There can be 10 Kikuyus, but they only support one at a time. There can be some Kikuyus, if Gachagua will not be contesting, there are some Kikuyus who will try to rise. But if Gachagua says it is Kalonzo Musyoka, right now Gachagua is the king of Central Kenya. If we are to look at the traditional kingship, Gachagua is right now perceived as the king of Central Kenya. And the person, whether a Kikuyu or not, that he will tell the people of Central Kenya to follow, that is the person they are going to vote for. That is a statement of facts. However much you'd like to dispute it, that is how it will be. The Kamba people, they follow Kalonzo Musyoka. And whoever Kalonzo will support, that is the person they're going to follow and vote for. Raila Odinga is supported by the Luo community, 100% and one. And that is how they vote. The Luo community splits their votes. They are not very tribal like other people. They will split their votes as usual. Some people will vote for Raila Odinga and others will vote for the other person who will be there. And that is what Jeremiah don't want to see. And that is how, at the end of the day, you people, you end up losing, and then you say kimeibiwa. And tunagojea kuona hiyo in 2027. Rich, you said that Central Kenya, we have half of the cabinet secretaries in Ruto's government, and that is very tribal. And I want to tell you, Gachagua, who was in government and who was a Kikuyu, was not the one appointing. He has no appointing authority. The appointing authority, 100%, lies with the president. It's the president who selects who becomes the cabinet secretary of which position. So if we are to criticize, we should not criticize Kikuyus for being in government, half of them for being in government. That is a mistake of one, William Ruto, who is very tribal, because the other half, you know where it comes from. So even the other Kikuyus who were appointed the other day, they were the Kabogos, the Mutai Kagwe. Gachagua was not in government. So I don't know when we try to even I said the other day here that we keep on fighting Gachagua as very tribal, but Gachagua knew very well that by the time he was becoming the deputy president of Kenya, he had no full support of Mount Kenya because he was just a one-term president, member of parliament who had not popularized himself politically from where he came from. And he knew that. That is why, even after being appointed by Ruto as the deputy president, he knew he had to form a political base, of which William Ruto could not stomach the fact that Gachagua was building himself politically in Central Kenya. That is the major reason why he was impeached, because Ruto wanted Central Kenya to remain without a strong leader so that we can follow him blindly, just like we did the other last time. And I want to say this. It's always good to be fair to someone. Yes, Gachagua said whatever he was saying, but Gachagua has never acted himself against any tribe in this country. If any politically, this was the only time he had risen to a higher position of power. It was a process of running. But I can tell you for sure, he was just building himself politically in central Kenya. He had nothing against anyone. If anything, he supported William Ruto. William Ruto is not a Kikuyu. In 2007, if there was somebody hated, 2007, 2008, if there was somebody hated in central Kenya, was one William Ruto. The person who popularized William Ruto in central Kenya, number one was Uhuru Kenyatta. Number two was this Gachagua that we fight every day. Today we are saying Ruto is good, Gachagua is bad. He supported Ruto when he was a Kikuyu. We voted for Ruto. Most of you who are telling me how Ruto is good and how we should support him and how now he is a darling of Raila Odinga, you have never voted for him. I have voted for him. I have campaigned for him. Even we even mobilized resources from diaspora to pay the agents. We mobilized social medias to campaign for him. So when I tell you that in 2027, we're gonna be here, and I'll tell you, remember, I told you William Ruto, without the support of his political base, which was central Kenya, Rift Valley, and right now, let me tell you what is likely to happen. This coalition they have made, it will also bring some disorganization in the government of William Ruto. Because anybody who will be disorganized or be removed from an influential position to another position that is weak down there so that they can pave way for the ODM members, those people might decide to leave the government of William Ruto. If you look at the expression of Wetangula, he is not a very happy man right now because he don't know about his fate. Remember, they had a coalition with Ruto. If you look at the facial expression of Mudavadi, he doesn't know his fate. When they were forming government, they had agreement that Mudavadi was going to be the Prime Minister of Kenya. Right now, he is not aware. He is not very sure of his fate. So anybody, and you see the reshuffles that are happening in Parliament, those reshuffles will also cause some disorganization in the government. So we are likely to see so many movements from one party to the other, from government to the new formation, which will be announced very soon. So I can tell you for sure, Ruto knows, and that is why he is trying to show Kikuyus that, you know what, I have given you half of the government. He knows that in 2027, his fate is not sealed. He is not very sure if you have the support of Raila Odinga, because any time, and I write the submission of Alex Ogega here, who said in 2027, there is a very high possibility that Raila Odinga will be in the ballot. So Ruto right now, he has to do everything possible to try to talk to the people of Central Kenya. That is why, even if he knows that the people of Central Kenya have deserted him, he has continued to increase them in his government, because he knows these are people that if they decide to support me, these are people I can rely on. And I'm very sure in 2027, Raila Odinga is likely to go his own way and tell Ruto, the only agreement we had is for the running of the government. But now we have to part ways. Maybe let me stop.
Let me ask you one question, my brother Jeff. Just one question.
Yes.
So since you have been observing Kenyan politics for a very long time, my question to you is this:
yes.
In 2027, do you believe the elections will be fair and free and fair?
You see, let us reflect on what happened in 2022. to a larger extent, we can say the elections in 2022 were fair. Elections cannot be fair 100% anywhere in the world. There might be discrepancies there and there, but with the new era of technology, it's very hard to rig someone of his victory, because the Supreme Court has been making sure that the gaps that had been there in 2007 that caused bloodshed in this country, those loopholes have been sealed to a larger extent. That is why Uhuru with his government, I know they tried everything. They tried everything, but they were not able to lead against William Ruto. Even now, Ruto knows very well, unless he puts people 100%, which is very hard to put his own people on the polling stations. Makiadi, you know very well, let me not make a long submission trying to justify something. You know very well, there is a Supreme Court ruling that elections ends at the polling station. That means if Matiang'i and Geoffrey are contesting, we can have our agents tallying all the votes from the tallying stations. And at the end of the day, even before the IEBC pronounce who is the winner, we are likely to know whether we have won or we have lost. That is how easy elections have become in Kenya. So Ruto will try to lead because he doesn't have numbers, but if it is numbers, I can tell you for sure, Ruto will go home. We will come back here and we will see whether I was right or I was wrong.
Yeah,
I want to stop with that.
Yes, I wanted to hear that word rigging from your mouth. When you say Ruto might try to rig, and then you tell us that and you tell us that the Supreme Court. I'm still not very sure how the Supreme Court would have the power to seal rigging in an election. Maybe that is something we will discuss some other day. But
yes,
my point is, when we saw the election results being declared from the 2022 election, presidential elections,
yes,
we saw half of the commissioners, more than half, because I think we were 7 commissioners, and 4 of them came out and said, the numbers, I hate to give you this story always, the numbers that were being declared by RIP Chebukati are numbers we do not understand, are numbers we don't know, are numbers that cannot be verified. We don't even know how he came up with these numbers. That tells you that even if you go to the polling station and cast your ballot, that does not determine who is going to be declared a winner. So we might sit here all day, all afternoon and justify why we believe that there will be fair elections and the person who will be elected will be, a legitimate winner and stuff like that. But there's always that concern and that fear at the back of our heads that the Kenyan electoral system has always been a rigged system. And the person who is elected a leader, in quotes, is the person who knows how to rig the system. So William Ruto being there, and he said very well, sometimes people think William Ruto is a madman. I don't think he's a madman because I know that he knows his cards. He plays his cards very well. When William Ruto told us, hawa watu mjipange kwa sababu hata mimi nimejipanga na nimejipanga vizuri. We guys who supported Raila Odinga were like, huyu sasa anatuambia nini? Na tuko na serikali, tuko na jeshi, tuko na polisi, kila mtu wako pande yetu, hakuna kitu mtu anatufanyia. Then come election night, wakati tuliweka kape tuko KICC ya red, tukingojea tutangazwe washindi, mpaka saa hii hiyo picha iko kwa akili yangu. Hapo ndio tulipotea. Mpaka saa hii mimi najiulizanga because niliona watu wakisherehekea. Unajua polling station yetu, tally station yetu ilikuwa Citizen TV ya SK Macharia. Huko ndio tulikuwa tunafanyia tally. Wakati watu walianza kuruka, video ikasambaa kwa Twitter and all that, tukasema hiki kitu tumechukua, wacha tuweke carpet wapi? KICC. We had the numbers, tulikuwa tumefanya hesabu, imeingia, inaonekana. Hata Ruto aende wapi, arudi chini, aruke juu, hii kitu tumechukua. Then tukaona pale chini kwa TV numbers zimeacha kutembea. IEBC is not broadcasting results anymore. Numbers zimekwama mahali ziko, wakasema mitandao ya IEBC imeharibika. Sijui Safaricom imekataa kusambaza matokeo ya uchaguzi. Sasa nikaanza kuingia baridi, nikajua hapa kuna kitu inaendelea. Nikaona commissioners wale mlikuwa mnaitaga Cherera 4 wamekuja, wameita press conference, wanasema iko kitu. Sasa sisi tunakaa huku nje tunaulizana, baba, si uongee tujue ni nini inaendelea. We were asking ourselves, what is happening? Why is nobody speaking? Kumbe hii kitu ilikuwa imeoshwa mapema. Sasa it was shock to most of us because we saw the numbers, vile numbers zilikuwa zinakuja na tunasema stronghold yetu bado haijatuma matokeo, but ikafika mahali matokeo ikakwama na ikaisha namna hiyo, na tukasikia Chebukati ametoka na bahasha mrefu kwa koti. You know this Masai guy, the senator alipigwa sana pale Bomas of Kenya. Leo nimeona wamesimama na ule mtu wa kumpiga on the same line, wakisema we will work together. So sisi wa Kenya ni washenzi, but politicians wanajua kututumia. So to make the story short, hii kitu inaitwa election Kenya, Mburu. And I want to tell you this. Sudi hakukanyaga shule, hajasoma, lakini Sudi alikuambia hakuna president wa Kenya ambaye anafaa kuenda term 2 amewahi serve term 1. Take that to the bank, because hata ukienda kupiga kura 2027 wewe ujue William Ruto lazima amalize term zake 2. Sudi si mkumbafu. These people know what they are talking about. So we want to believe on our side ya kwamba, because we had the Gen Z, and I supported the Gen Z movement, because wakati Gen Z walitoka niliona this thing is going to change the way we think politically, because they do not support a tribe, they do not bow down to an individual. These are people who are fighting for change in our country. Wakati niliona Gen Z wametokea wanataka kuleta mabadiliko, nilisema God, this is what we've been waiting for in our country. This is going to bring a political change, a dynamic shift in the way we do politics, and this is going to change the leadership of our country for a long time, for decades. Sasa siku hizi naonanga wale viongozi walikuwa wanajiita viongozi wa Gen Z, waliangalia mbele wakaona, without aligning yourself to somebody in this country, you do not have a political life. And you know, most of them want to be leaders. Na wakaambiwa either ushike pande hii ya Raila Odinga ama ushike pande hii ya William Ruto ndio usurvive politically. Right now nobody is even talking about Gen Zs, because that movement was crushed. It was crushed to pieces. Nobody utasikia saizi mtu akiongea Gen Z. Now let's come back to Gachagua. Let me tell you, Mboro, there's one thing I want you and I are on the same side. I do not support William Ruto, and I will never support him.
Kwanza ugoje kidogo nijibu kidogo ili nisipoteze sana.
Ni sawa.
Umeongea vizuri sana. Umeongea kuhusu the Cherera 4 na venye walitokea na wakasema kule mambo ni mabaya, hatujui hizi kura zenye zinaenda. Lakini Rich, I would like to remind you that the 4 commissioners were appointed by Uhuru almost towards the end of 2022. And I know they were appointed with a sole purpose that when you go there, I am going to give you this job, but you have to ensure that Raila Odinga becomes the president at whatever cost. And when they saw that they are not able to do that, they had to go out there and start causing all those commotions. Remember, Richie, it's not about how many commissioners, it is about the votes of Kenyans. So it cannot be that after Kenyans have voted for their person of choice, they have voted maybe for William Ruto or Raila Odinga, then the commissioners are the ones to say, no, even if he has the majority of votes, he should not become the president because of ABCD. No, they don't have that kind of power. And Richie, we have to agree one thing, that William Ruto, though right now I'm not supporting him, but I worked closely with the government, with the campaign teams of William Ruto. And remember, you are in St. Louis, where we were even having meetings. We even met some senior people in St. Louis as we were planning on how to ensure we seal all the loopholes. And I can tell you for sure, Richie, tunasema mugara muwe na haki umpe. When it comes to organizations and strategies, William Ruto is ahead. Na sasa hapo tu ndipo anaweza wezea watu. Number one, William Ruto had parallel tallying center, that whatever was happening in the polling stations, it was immediately being transmitted to the parallel polling station, and they were able to count. Number two, William Ruto had agents in each and every polling station in Kenya, all of them, of which Raila Odinga was not having agents in most of the tallying centers, because he believed the police were working for him. Number two, he had no parallel tallying center. He believed SK Macharia, the Citizen TV team, was going to work for him. Hiyo sio kazi rahisi. William Ruto alikuwa ameajiri vijana wengi sana wa kuhesabu zile kura. Citizen does not have the capacity to tally all the votes across the nation. It was not very easy for them. So, na diposa unaona ya kwamba Citizen ilikuwa nyuma. Hata ukiangalia the Electoral Commission portal, walikuwa nyuma kidogo, walikuwa wanahesabu kura pole pole, haikuwa inadanisha na vyenye. Ikafika mahali Citizen wakashindwa wenyewe kuhesabu, wakaanza sasa kusema what the IEBC was saying. So hakukuwa mambo ya tiering. Mwenye alikuwa anataka kulig sana alikuwa anaitwa Uhuru Kenyatta. Ndivyo alikuwa anatuma mpaka makamanda wa jeshi waende wajaribu kuintimidate this Chebukati. Chebukati is a very principled guy. Kama angekuwa muoga, angetagaza Raila Odinga ama aseme hakuna mwenye ameshinda. So tukubaliana ya kwamba imipango William Ruto alikuwa mbele yao, na hapo ndipo aliweza kushinda mtu anaitwa aliweza kushinda Raila Odinga. Nikimalizia niseme hivi, na Richie, tutakuwa tu hapa na wewe na nitakukumbusha hii, na sisemi hii ati kwa sababu Gachagua ni Mkikuyu na mimi ni Mkikuyu. If anything, Richie, kama hujui, mimi hata marafiki wengi wangu si wa Kikuyu, lakini mimi napenda kuangalia mambo vyenye yako. Na saa hii hata sijui candidate mwenye nitasupport ni yupi. Hata naweza pigia anybody mwenye nitaona ambaye ako na what I believe in. Nikitaka kusema hivi, ndio Ruto anaweza shida kwa sababu pia yeye si mchezo. But I want to tell you, in 2027, it will not be a walk in the park, because the people that he is facing, one of them being Gachagua, he might not be in the ballot, but this guy, I can tell you, he is not a pushover. Ati mtu mwenye tu wa kuchezea hivi. Number two, umesema kuhusu finances. You see, some people don't know about, like Jimmy Wajigi. That guy alone, if you listen to him, that guy alone is able to sponsor an election in Kenya. Yeye akiwa single peke yake, he is richer than Uhuru Kenyatta himself. And you see right now he is working with who? Not only that, I don't want to go into details. Elections, those who contest, they get their friends to contribute. Even in the international community, even the locals. If it is the business communities, I don't know whether they will fully support Raila Odinga like they did last time. The business community last time supported Raila Odinga from Central Kenya 100%. Why? Because of Uhuru Kenyatta. If Uhuru Kenyatta will not be with Ruto, and Raila Odinga will not be contesting, the business community will look for another alternative, not Ruto. because they don't see him as someone who is friendly to the business. And you have seen his taxation regime and all that. And that is why there is a high possibility that the new formation which is coming, I don't know how it's going to look like. I don't know the person they will field and when, but I can tell you there is a high possibility that the business community, they have their own organization in Central Kenya, and the person they support even with their money, not just saying we are supporting. They give billions of money for campaign. And the reciprocation is we want friendly environment for our businesses to drive. Rich, because we don't have much time, maybe you can respond and say whatever you wanted to say, then we can be in a position to conclude.
Yes. So let me just respond to one of the statements you made about the government. I guess you said the government, William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta's government had the ability to, force the election in a certain manner. I want to tell you this. We are Africans. All of us are Africans. And I like the saying, Dindi Nyoro, we are Africans and African is our business. But the government of the day is interested in making a particular candidate a president. There's nothing that can stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at Uhuru Kenyatta's situation, I doubt that. Hapo sitaenda zaidi hapo. You know what I mean. Now, when you tell me that Gachagua is not a pushover, I keep coming back to numbers. And you know the best thing about numbers is numbers don't lie. For you to be a president, you first of all have to have a base. You have to have a political base, a grassroots base. Now, the biggest problem with Gachagua is he started from the top and now he's going bottom. Instead of coming from the bottom, going to the top, he should have built his base from the bottom and then go up and have a bargaining power. Kenyan politics are tribal, whether you like it or not, whether you change the constitution or not. Like you said, tribes will be voting together. There are some tribes that are known to split their votes, but majority of the tribes vote together as a block. The Luya community, you said splits, I agree with you. There are communities that we know, Kikuyu, Luo, they vote together as a block. And they vote wherever their political, their tribal leaders are. And so when I look at Rigathi Gachagua, I ask myself here, what does Rigathi Gachagua have that is different from the other people that are around him right now? If you look at Eugene Wamalwa, Eugene Wamalwa does not have a political base. He cannot even be elected an MCA. If you look at the likes of Senator of KICC, they don't have a political base. So Rigathi Gachagua is not different from them unless he brings his community under his wing. And that is why you see Rigathi Gachagua every day, every night going out to matangas and kanisas and in Chango and doing all this because he wants to make himself somebody. He wants to make himself be felt. He wants to gain some political muscle. To what extent, we do not know. We can only judge that with the outcomes of an election. When Mburu, you tell me that Rigathi Gachagua has been able to mobilize, what proof do you have? We have not gone to an election. We say Rigathi Gachagua is the leader of PKF party, for example, and these are his MPs. So moving forward, we know this guy has a political muscle because he has 27 MPs in parliament. We do not know that. We have not seen the effect of his mobilization at the ballot. So I believe, and that's just my opinion, I believe Rigathi Gachagua still has a long way to go politically so that he builds himself. If he has to have MPs, if he has to have MCAs and all that coming next election, and these people are a product of his political move, then we can say, okay, now we think Rigathi Gachagua is a serious candidate in the political arena in Kenya. But as of now, where I stand right now, I think Rigathi Gachagua is a joke. It's like any other joker in the politics of Kenya, like Eugene Wamalwa and the likes of whatever this guy from KICC who thinks he's a principal, also Akina Martha Karua, all those guys are in the same level. And now we should also be asking ourselves, okay, Rigathi Gachagua is trying so hard to be felt politically, but you should also ask yourself, what does he gain? What does he gain? What does he want to gain from that political formation? Because he's not going to be on the ballot as things stand right now. That is a fact. He was impeached. He cannot run for any elective office in Kenya. What does he gain? And the people that he's associating himself with, are they going to deliver what he wants to him? I don't think so. So the simple math is this. For the next 2.5 years, William Ruto has a lot of work to do, because, to be honest, William Ruto is one of the most unpopular presidents at the moment. In his first term, he's one of the most unpopular presidents we've ever had as a nation. Nobody wants William Ruto. Even the people in ODM are saying, Dio Baba amesema tuende pande hii. But majority of them, if you ask me right now, if Raila Odinga says we are voting for William Ruto, some of us who supported Raila Odinga will not vote for William Ruto, because we do not believe in his ideology. I don't believe in anything Ruto says, because I don't know whether it's a truth, or he's lying, or he's just doing that for political expediency. So Rigathi Gachagua has to build himself to get to where wanaume wanasemanga umefika mahali unaweza kaa na wanaume muongee lugha moja. That is point number 1. Number 2, we have to think about, and I think most of us agree with the issue of elections in Kenya. We have to think about reforming our electoral system so that our votes matter. That is one thing that our country is suffering from. And that is why you can see viongozi wanakuwa na kichwa kubwa. They become wanakuwa magaidi, because wanajua hata nisipofanya kazi yangu bado tu nitachaguliwa, because I know how to manipulate the electoral system. We have to think of a situation whereby if you go to the ballot, box na utumbukize kura yako, hiyo kura yako itakuwa ni the true kura yenye itahesabiwa na ita bring about change yenye unataka. Lakini saa hii, even if you look at the names that are being fronted right, left and center to be the IEBC chair, you can see these people are anti-development, they are anti-democracy. The likes of Nyachai and all those people, these people, Akina Amadi, former whatever, all these people ukiangalia wamewekwa hapo for a sinister motive. And I think the rigging of an election is happening right before our eyes. It begins with the way the IEBC is going to be formed. It begins with the commissioners that are going to be appointed into those offices. And then it ends at the ballot box where you cast your ballot and somebody decides to come up with his own numbers and declare a winner. So we might fight here at the bottom. We might fight a lot. And most of this, most of us voters, watu wenye tulipiga kura 2022, the one thing that joins Ruto supporters and Raila supporters ni shida. Kila mtu anakubali ya kwamba maisha Kenya imekuwa ngumu. Things are not working. There's no employment. There is insecurity, injustices, kidnapping. All these things are happening. And this thing has united the supporters of Raila Odinga and the supporters of William Ruto together, because there's no need, hata kama atukubaliani na wewe siasa Jeff, we can come here and debate. Now after the debate tuende tusalimiane, tuambiane, after all it is our country. That is what is happening in Kenya right now. Shida yenye inakumba mtu ambaye alipigia Ruto na mtu hakumpigia Ruto ni moja. Unfortunately, we do not have a way ya kutoa William Ruto. And this is just the plain truth. Hakuna njia yenye ninaona pale mbele. The Gen Z was a good initiative, but saa hizi nikiangalia pale mbele, we are lying to ourselves if we tell each other that tutaenda kupiga kura na kura zetu ni 7 million, tutaongeza 3 million za Ukambani, hizo ni 10 tutoe William Ruto. My brother, hiyo kitu haitatendeka. So we have to think of another way. We have to think of another way ya kutoa William Ruto.
Umekubaliana na mimi ya kwamba tunastahili kutoa huyu jamaa?
Mburu Jeff, mimi nimekuambia namna hii. I have never supported William Ruto and I will not support William Ruto. Even if Raila Odinga says ndio njia yenye tunafuata, I cannot support William Ruto. What I agree with you is this. William Ruto is long overdue. Yeye ni mtu ambaye anafaa kuwa ameondoka saa hii. But nikiangalia wale watu ambao wanasema tunapeleka William Ruto nyumbani, ndio sioni ni nani. Hiyo ndio shida yenye niko nayo.
Wacha nikuambie kitu kidogo
Yes.
Nimekuwa Kenya kwa muda. Na the reason why you are saying that is because you are not in the ground. I've been here now for several months. And I can tell you, I have heard that you have very low opinion on Rigathi Gachagua. Then you're asking, what does he have? Number one, as I said, this is the man who was in a position to mobilize votes for one William Ruto. And this is the same person who has been in a position to demobilize William Ruto. He made him popular in central Kenya, and he has been able to make him very unpopular in central Kenya. You are having a very low opinion, and you are saying this guy, you don't feel what he is having, that he can stand like other men. But I can tell you for sure, because I have been on the ground right now, the people of central Kenya, if not 100%, 90% and above, they believe in Gachagua. Number one, because of what we call sympathy, because of the mistreatment that he received from William Ruto. People saw the humiliation that he went through under Uhuru's regime, and then after that, they saw William Ruto impeaching him. That by itself gave him mileage politically. And not only that, he is so courageous to tell the president what other people cannot say in central Kenya or anywhere. And that is why his courage has also earned him some mileage. Not only that, Gachagua is not as poor as people think, or people even believe the money he said that this is what I'm having. People think that is the wealth of Gachagua. Gachagua is an extremely wealthy man. And that is why when William Ruto was contemplating whom to pick between Gachagua and Kidiki, he decided to go with Gachagua because of what he was bringing on the table. He's a good mobilizer. And number two, he had financial muscles. And therefore, I can tell you for sure, without fear of contradiction right now, because I've been on the ground, Gachagua has gained mileage. Whether it will be, he'll be on the ballot, or where is he taking people? Remember, someone can be vindicated by the court. Gachagua is still having a court case which has not been concluded. We are not very sure whether Gachagua will be on the ballot or not, because the case is ongoing. And until when that case will be concluded, then we can say whether he will contest or he will not contest. However, it is not a must that he be on the ballot. What many people are saying is that they are tired with the government of one William Ruto, and all what they want is to kick him out. Most people, even the supporters of Raila Odinga, some of them are not supporting the merger or the coalition that they are forming. They don't want to hear anything like Raila Odinga. So even if Raila Odinga have joined William Ruto, remember he is not having all the support that he had. He has already lost the Kaba votes. Most of the KICC votes are not with him. Most of the Luya votes are not with him. So he has gone also as a weak man. Two weak people have formed a coalition. So let us not underestimate. We make mistakes politically when we underestimate others. If William Ruto did not underestimate Gachagua, he'd be having a lot of peace in his government. He did the same mistake that you are making of underestimating this man. If he knew that Gachagua was in a position to mobilize the entire central Kenya against him, he would not have dared to kick him out. I can tell you that. That is why today he is so desperate. He has increased the number of cabinet secretaries to 9 just to try to appease central Kenya. But central Kenya right now, they have said, even if he revives the old Kenyatta, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, to his government, they have said they are not boarding. So therefore, Richie, I'm requesting we can continue with this discussion next time because time is not on our side here.
Yeah, let me do my closing remark, and I would just say this. I think we agree as people who are or who have been in opposite political sides for a long time. We agree that William Ruto was a mistake.
Yes.
William Ruto, probably he had the best tongue, he had the best language to convince voters. But we have seen that probably William Ruto was the wrong choice for our country. And that does not mean that I say Raila Odinga would have been the best. No. But we also have to come together and agree on facts.
Yes.
And fact number one is this: William Ruto is the president. William Ruto was in a tight spot because there was political rebellion coming from one of his political bases, which is Mount Kenya. That is a fact. William Ruto had a choice to either engage people who will hold him hostage or reach out to people who are desperate to be included in government because they feel they have been sidelined for a long time. What did William Ruto do? He decided to work with the opposition, which we call the minority, because he felt these people, when I bring them into government and give them certain positions, then I get some stability and I will not be blackmailed. So right now, William Ruto is working with Raila Odinga because he needed some stability in his government, which Raila Odinga offers. So for the next 2.5 years, we don't know what is going to happen. There will be disagreements between the two political parties. There will be fighting. They will probably, work things out. I don't know. We don't know. But at least we know right now that the political temperatures that were there have been lowered. Rigathi Gachagua and his team can continue, mobilizing their ground, mobilizing their political leaders and trying to fight. That is good. After all, they are political animals, and every political animal wants a home to stay. So that's a good thing. But we also have to think about how this formation that we are talking about of Rigathi Gachagua will remove William Ruto from power. They have to have a strategy. They have to have a plan. They have to have funds, finances. I don't know how William Ruto, I don't know how Rigathi Gachagua is rich, or I don't know Jimmy Wanjigi is rich or not. I don't know about that. But I know very well that a presidential campaign is not an easy thing. And you agree with me because you said you mobilize funds for William Ruto and all that and agents. Political campaigns are very expensive. And I don't think, from the group that I'm seeing coalescing around Rigathi Gachagua, I don't think there's anybody there who has the political muscle, the financial muscle to drive a political campaign, apart from maybe Rigathi Gachagua. And if Rigathi Gachagua has nothing in it for him, that is, he's not going to be on the ballot. It's good that he still has his case in court, but I also feel like he was betrayed by his advisors, because if you are a smart guy and you know your fate has been sealed, that is, you know very well that you're going to be impeached and you want to build yourself politically, I think the best thing that Rigathi Gachagua could have done was to resign. Go out of government, don't allow yourself to be impeached, go back, say niliona hawa watu wanataka kunimaliza kisiasa, nikasema wacha nitoke kwanza ndio niweze kupigana siku ingine. You live to fight another day. Unfortunately for Munyoro, he stayed there until he got impeached. Now, I have to be honest, Jeff. I don't see I don't see a court in the Republic of Kenya that is going to overturn the impeachment and give Rigathi Gachagua reprieve, to run for elective office in future. I don't see a court that is going to do that, because courts live in the country. They know what is happening. They can read the political mood. This was the same guy that was threatening judges. He was, talking against the court, saying he's going to, go after the judges. He's going to lead the impeachment of judges and stuff like that. So they know what kind of person they are dealing with here. And I told another person a long time ago that if Rigathi Gachagua would have resigned, and with the so-called, what you're calling sympathy, would have resigned and then go back to the grassroots and cry that he fought for this government with his resources and all his energy, and they have betrayed him, then people would be looking at Rigathi and say, truly this guy was in the forefront fighting for William Ruto, and I think this guy has an interest of the people, and we should give him a chance. But his political future hangs in the court. These are the courts that have been twisted by the government of the day as we watch, making decisions that go against the common mwananchi. And you want to tell me that these are the same people that Gachagua expect to save his political career? Tuko hapa tutaambiana siku ingine, because we don't want to prolong this. Gachagua's political career is probably over. And he might surround himself with the likes of Kalonzo, but you know very well, Kalonzo, even with his Ukambani votes and everything, people don't trust Kalonzo. People don't think Kalonzo is a serious candidate. Show me somebody else. Yeah, but I'm saying Kalonzo is still there. But
is it possible possible we end the show and start from there tomorrow?
I'm just saying this as I finish. Bonnie, I'm saying Kalonzo is there, but people do not feel Kalonzo is a serious candidate, because Kalonzo has shown that he has no musimamo. Yeye anaendaga pande hii, akiambiwa na Raila nitakusupport next time, anasupport Raila, anarukwa next time, anarudi kwa Raila, anarukwa next time, namna hiyo. So Kalonzo, kila mtu anajua Kalonzo ni upepo, hata unajua anamuitanga watermelon. I respect Kalonzo very much because he has stood with Raila, hata wameanguka na yeye. Nakumbuka akiinua pay bill number, and I think alifanyishwa kazi mbaya sana. Kalonzo Musyoka amesimama na Raila for a long time. I think if Raila Odinga really cared about Kalonzo Musyoka, angemsupport 2027, but that's a story for another day. Boro, let me finish by saying this. We have a long way to go, and I think when I look in the future, I don't see anybody that is going to dethrone William Ruto from that seat, unfortunately. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Richie. Hey. Let's meet here at 10 tomorrow. I'm not going
Richie, I have been looking for your number, bwana. Unajua sasa wewe unakujanga kufanya show inakuwa interesting sana. Namba yako sipatangi.
Yeah, kesho tutakutana.
Nikiweka link hapo utokee sasa. Hii story ya Ruto la Raila lazima tuichambue vizuri.